for about 20 years. So, but this is my first time to conduct a training like this, and I'm actually excited then to do this. I guess we should start kasi I want you to learn more about Excel, and yung time natin medyo limited, and I know in your profession, actually in most profession, Excel talaga is very, very important. So maganda kung matutunan marami tayong matutunan sa Excel. Okay, let me just open my presentation. If you have question, please type in the chat box, or you can just speak up if ever. Kasi baka makalimutan ko rin mag-pause. So please tell me if you can see my screen. Sorry.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah. Okay, let's start. This is the basic outline of our basic Excel session today. So we'll have a brief introduction, and then we'll go straight to the screen. Discuss natin kung ano yung parts ng screen. And then after that, we'll go to the entering and formatting data, numbers, and table na. And then along the way, not exactly na nasa dulo si tips and tricks, magkakaroon din, may mga sumisingit dyan na tips and tricks. Which I want, ito mga tutunan ko lang din as in my work, to na gusto ko i-share kasi it actually helped me no pag ginagamit ko yung Excel. May napapabilis, napapadali. So it increases talaga, it increases productivity. Okay, so let's go to introduction. Okay, what is Microsoft Excel? Microsoft Excel is a spreadsheet program used to record and analyze numerical and statistical data. It's part of the Microsoft Office suite of program. So, spreadsheet program, ang mga predecessor nito, siguro yung mga millennial ngayon, I don't know if familiar sila, pero kapamilya nito yung mga dating-dati pa pre-Windows, may mga Lotus 1, 2, 3 tayo, and then WordStar. And then so, pumasok na si Windows, ayan, andiyan na yung Excel. So, anong mga features ni Excel, or what can we do using Excel? Of course, you can do calculation, then you can make pivot tables, you can also make graphs and forms. Gaya nung si Google Forms, actually, parang pareho lang din siya ng yung sa Excel form, you can do that. Si Google Forms lang, syempre, dinilagay niya sa internet. And then you can do macro programming. Ano yung macro programming? Automate. Medyo i-automate niya yung ginagawa mo kung medyo repeated task. So, may konting scripting or programming na gagawin or mangyayari. And then, ayun, i-enable ni Excel yun para sa'yo. Okay? So, now let's go to the screen. Just for reference, kasi hindi ko alam kung malamang hindi tayo pare-pareho ng Excel dun sa computer natin, sa laptop natin. So for reference, naglagay lang ako dito for our appreciation na rin kung paano nag-evolve or nag-update si Excel. So on your screen, you can see yung 2003 and 2007. Ang pinaka-notable difference lang diyan is yung makikita niyo sa taas, yung menu. So, yung mga dito sa 2007 nag-start na yung ribbon. Later, we'll go through that in a while. Tapos yung si 2003 medyo mas simple pa, hindi pa nakakalula yung mga menu niya. Okay, and then from actually 2007 and then 2010, 2013, as you can see, kala nyo walang difference, di ba? Kasi magkamukha na siya. very subtle na yung difference nila. May mga tab lang, yan si File and Home. Makikita niyo yung characters. Kay 2010, yung menu niya, proper case, ang tawag, or camel case yung tawag natin. Si 2013, all caps. Very subtle, di ba? Pero all in all, same functions pa rin meron yan. Okay, so dito sa 2016 to 2019 or Office 365, I will share my screen. Kasi ayan, magkakamukha na siya. Ito ang gamit namin, ito kasi sa Office, this is Office 365. Ayan. Kung makikita nyo, ito yung sinasabi kong ribbon. Punta na tayo sa parts ng screen para kasi yun na rin naman yung sunod natin. So ito yung, wait lang, balikan ko muna yung slide natin. So here's yung overview nung screen ni Excel. At the top, ito yung tinatawag nating quick access toolbar. And then sa baba niya, yung ribbon. Anong difference ni quick access toolbar sa ribbon? Kasi actually pareho lang yan na may menu ng mga commands or tools. Si quick access toolbar, ito across Microsoft, even sa Word, sa PowerPoint, pag ginamit nyo, meron yan. Common, yung mga common na commands, like gusto nyo yung mga new, open, yung mga shortcut para hindi na kayo papasok dun sa yung mga menu na nandito sa ribbon. Dito sa ribbon, makikita nyo lahat nung mga like formulas, functions, and features yung mga pwede nyong gawin kay Excel. And then, right below the ribbon is the formula bar. So, dyan pwedeng, since di ba may mga calculation si Excel, dyan nyo ilalagay yung formula. Actually, the formula can be written on the bar or directly dun sa cell. Okay, right below the formula bar is the spreadsheet key. Dyan ka na i-input na data. And then, below that is the status bar. The status bars, kung may data na yung spreadsheet mo, you can see some summarized information. So let me show you. So this is our Excel. Here, dito muna tayo, balikan natin si Quick Access Toolbar. Ako kasi, ito yung pinakagusto kong madali kong na-access. Yung new, open, save. So makikita nyo naka-check. Kung ano yung naka-check, yun yung lalabas dito. Idadagdag, like for example, ilabas natin si spelling. So andyan siya. So anytime you want to save, which I highly recommend, make it a habit, kahit naka-enable ang auto-save ninyo, click nyo lang yung save. So, hindi nyo na kailangan pumunta dito sa file, pupunta kayo na save. So, madali. So, ayan yung, kaya quick access, padali ng buhay. So, kung i-hide lang natin siya, i-select nyo lang. Yung order nito, nung pagkaka-display, kung paano nyo siya, kung ano yung order nung pagpili nyo. So, bawa, andyan na sila. Ito na yung mga napili ko. New, open, save. Yan. Kung pipiliin ko naman to, si sort ascending, tapos si spelling. So, kung makikita nyo kung paano ko sila display, ganun din siya, kung kailan ko sila in-enable ng display, dun din siya lumabas sa quick access toolbar. Kung gusto nyo siyang i-sort, hide nyo siya ulit isa-isa, tapos yun lang, medyo uulitin nyo siya. Okay? So, ito naman sa baba, please tell me if mabilis po ako. Dito sa baba, ito yung tinatawag nating ribbon. So, gaya ng sinabi ko kanina, andito sa ribbon, yung mga lahat ng functions and features na pwedeng gawin ni Excel. So, I'm not, like I said also, hindi ko sure kung same tayo ng version, pero baka tinitignan nyo yung Excel nyo ngayon, baka magtaka kayo magkaiba. Kasi in each version din, medyo niraramble, na iniiba ni Excel yung laman nung bawat menu dun sa ribbon. But it's still there. So, minsan ako kaya nag-google pa din ako kung saan ko hahanapin minsan yung familiar na function sa akin. So, let me just show you na, okay, so ito yung ribbon, di ba? You can see this option here, dun sa tabi ng minimize button natin, maximize. Ito yung ribbon display options niya. So, ito, show tabs and commands. So, fully displayed siya. Pwede mo rin siyang medyo minimize ng konti. So, ayan, makikita lang natin yung pinaka-menu, pero yung option, yung hindi siya talaga nakalatag. But when you click it, bumababa siya. This is actually good for presentation para mas makita, malaki yung data. Or you can completely hide it. So, ayan. So, totally wala naman na yung mga menu natin. So, just to, para ibalik lang yan, select lang ulit natin yung ribbon display option. Okay? So, now, we go to the formula bar. Like I said, dito natin ilalagay yung mga formula. Like for example, right now, pag gamit tayo ng formula, just using equal sign and ayan, medyo intuitive naman si Excel, nagdi-display siya sa inyo ng ano, magsasuggest siya kung ano yung gusto mo formula. And ayan, meron ng kung ano yung kailangan mo i-include. So, 2021 month. Finormula ko pa, di ba? Pero I can just easily type it. But this is just to show you how it works. But I can also do it here directly sa cell. Di ba? So either you go to the formula or dito sa Excel. Minsan kasi humahaba yung formula natin. You can also adjust this formula para mas malaki siya. Ayan. Okay, so now this is after the formula bar below it, you can have the grid. This is the spreadsheet grid. On your left, this is yung row marker, number siya. And then sa taas, letters. You can adjust that. Depende sa gusto nyo. Also the row din. Later, I will show you some tips on the resizing. Okay. Here's an info pala. For this new version, yung mga unang version na Excel, the number of rows is about 65,000 rows lang. But this one, the newer one, yung ang extension niya is XLSX, is about 1,000,000. So, from paglumang version to newer version, madaling mag-paste, mag-copy ng laman ng Excel. Pag from the newer versions naman o higher versions, tapos magka-copy kayo, magkakaroon, sasabihin niya incompatible kasi kulang na. Hindi niya na, kaya better dun na lang sa, paano ka na lang, dun sa higher version. Okay? So, dito sa baba, makikita nyo yung sheet. This actually can be customized. By default, si Excel, ino-open niya 3. But I will show you how you can set it to default it to 1 sheet lang. So, so balik ako pa. Okay, so you just go to you click file, and then go to options. And then here, sa general, makikita nyo yung when creating new workbooks. Here, ito yung menu, yung option for that, include this many sheets. So, I set it to 1. Kasi minsan, isa lang naman kailangan. Nasasayang yung, for me, ano rin kasi yan sa file size. So, I just set it to 1. Okay? Actually, you can also change yung default font, default size. Kasi, di ba, minsan, puro Arial yung nakaset and default view. Okay? So, there. Now, ito yung sa baba nung sheets, yung status bar na sinasabi natin. For example, lalagyan natin to ng laman. If I highlight this column, makikita nyo nilabas niya count. If this is number, Pag hinighlight ko siya, ang ilalabas niya yung average, may automatic data ka. Average, count, and yung sum, pag number. Kaya may sum siya. Okay? So, yan yung screen natin ni Excel. And then you can also, may shortcut tayo dito ng view. Kung gusto mo page break or kung paano siya mapiprint out. Ganyan. Click mo lang siya. So, kung gusto mong bumalik dun sa normal view, click yun lang. And then, if you want to, yung mabilis na pag-zoom like gaya nito, I'm presenting, gusto kong mag-zoom, zoom ko lang siya. Para mas madali. Mas visible. Hindi mahirap, di ba? Ayan. So, ayan. Ang brief overview ng screen ni Excel. Balik tayo sa slide. Ayan. So, from this, let's go to actually entering and formatting data. So, this is just a sample. Gagawa tayo ngayon na, any questions po ba before I proceed? Or actually gonna make an Excel file. So, naisip ko para mas related sa work po ninyo, let's make, I'm not sure what you call it, pero parang grading sheet. Okay? So, instead na yung pinakita ko kanina na may list ng municipality, I think it's better para mas nakaka-relate, grading sheet tayo. So, for a grading sheet, what do we have? First, kunyari meron, syempre, student number. We'll put the number here. And then, name, student name. Tapos, kunyari, gusto kong per grading, per quarter, kunyari lang po 'to ha. O, kunyari meron tayong quiz 1, and then meron tayong quiz 2, tapos quarter exam. So, gaganyan ko na lang siya. Okay? So, ito po, pagsamahin na natin. Ito na yung formatting. Gusto ko bold itong header ko. So, I'll just highlight this row. This is my header. And then, highlight mo lang and then click B here. Tapos yung sasabi ko kanina, gusto ko yung size niya later. Sorry, ano natin. Pag mamaya natin i-adjust yung column niya. Dito muna tayo sa number. Let's say we have 10 students. 1, ano na siya. Sorry. Balik ko muna siya sa general. Mamaya natin puntahan yung date. Okay, so dito tayo sa number 1. And then, I know na in real life, siyempre hindi lang 10 estudyante natin or kaya minsan gagawa kayo ng listahan, hindi lang yan, kumbaga aabot ng 27. So, here's a trick. If magsi-sequence kayo for number, you just make input nyo yung first 2 numbers ng sequence and then you select that and then i-drag nyo pababa. Automatic siya. Nakikita niyo po ba? Nagna-number na siya. So, hindi niya na kailangan magmano-mano. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? Now, gusto ko, medyo OC ako. Pantayin natin. Gusto natin nasa gitna. I'll select the column and then lalagay ko siya sa gitna. Select ko tong alignment. Ito yung option to center. The same with my header. Gusto ko nakagitna din siya. So, ha-highlight ko lang din the entire row. Pwede naman na isang row lang, isang cell. Kaya lang medyo tedious yan. So, i-highlight natin. And then, align it to center. Okay? So, let's go to the name. So, I'm gonna go generic here kasi hindi ako ganun creative sa name. Mahirap din sa artista. So, I'll just use student 1. Tapos, si student 2. Unfortunately, for string or characters, hindi natin pwede gamitin yung automatic, yung sequence, yung ginawa ko dito for the numbers. Kasi hindi na malalaman ni Excel kung ano yung gusto mo i-input dun sa succeeding. But let me show you here one trick. If yung succeeding cells until dun sa last row is the same, here's what you can do. Kung gusto nyo pare-pareho lang laman yan, kahit gaano pa karami yan, kahit 1,000 rows yan, i-click nyo yung last cell, or let's say, this first cell, i-click ito, the bottom corner, and then double-click nyo siya. Look what's going to happen. See that it automatically populated the rest of the cell hanggang dun sa katabi niya na may laman, katabi niya sa left. Pero ngayon kung magkakaiba yan ng laman, edit nyo lang. In which case, yun yung gagawin natin ngayon. Sandali. So, to delete lang laman, highlight, I will start from here. And then, isa-select, hold shift. And then, isa-select ko yung last row. Tapos, you can either right-click and select delete or delete sa screen. Or press yung delete, delete sa keyboard. What I'm going to do is, but minsan pag may mga formula, natatanggal din yung formula. So, kapag ganito yung ginawa. But ito wala. So, I'll opt for that option na lang. So, at least ito, balikan natin, listahan natin, at least nakopya na yung student. Di ko na kailangan siya i-type isa-isa, yung dulo na lang. With me, isa-isahin natin to. Example, syempre school year hindi lang naman isa yung quarter natin, 'di ba? We have, I don't know, mostly we have 4 quarters. So ito, sabihin natin quarter exam 1 for first quarter. Uulitin natin siya 4 times. So ika-copy ko lang siya, highlight niyo yung column, and then yung shortcut, Control C. And then, Control V nyo lang kung saan nyo gusto ilagay. Tapos, actually, ulitin ko lang to ng 3 times. Papalitan ko lang to ng Q. Actually, ayoko siyang palitan. Kasi, gusto ko may isa pa akong header. Babalik ko siya sa QE. Ilalagay ako ng header dito sa itaas. So, ang gusto ko is, lalagay ko dito, first quarter. Pero si first quarter kasi, ito yun ito yung first 3 column, ito yung column natin for first quarter. So what I'm gonna do is, para alam ko na siya yung first quarter, yung cells na to, i-merge ko. So, see? Kung makikita nyo, ayan. And then, susunod ko rin to for the second quarter naman. And then, the same, dito din. And dito din. Quarter. Tapos, gusto ko rin siyang i-bold kasi header siya. So, highlight ko lang ulit siya and then, ayan. Diba? Ngayon, kung OC kayo, gusto nyo, kasi ito, si Nim, hindi lang naman siya yung, gusto nyo, pantay rin ito. Pwede nyo rin merge to. I-merge natin. Same here. Diba? Kaya lang, ayoko siyang nasa baba. Gusto ko, nasa gitna siya. So, punta lang tayo sa lay. Actually, itong option pala sa itaas. Gusto ko nasa gitna. Ayan. Sa gitna. Pareho sila. Or kung gusto nyo pareho nasa taas, okay lang din yan. Top align natin. Di ba? Now, so meron na tayong header. Pwede na, para mas stand out siya, pwede natin siyang kulayan. So, select nyo lang yung header. And then, ito yung bucket. Pili tayo ng kulay. So, ayan. Or kung gusto niyo mas bold, well, you can choose yellow para mas kita siya. Okay? So, let's proceed naman. Ayan. Sorry, ito pala yung kunyari hindi natin alam, 'di ba? Kung gusto niyong i-adjust yung columns para hindi niya ino-overlap yung line, select niyo yung column and then i-double click niyo lang yung divider. Automatic siyang mag-a-adjust. Okay? Kapag maraming laman 'yan, let's say, adjust natin. I-select niyo lang yung mga column and then double click niyo lang din yung pinakadulo. Tapos automatic siyang mag-a-adjust dun sa pinaka-maximum, pinakamahabang yung cell na may pinakamahabang laman, mag-a-adjust siya. So, that's another tip, usually. Okay? So, ngayon, tapos na yung quiz 1, maglagay tayo ng grade. Kunyari, we have 84. Gagawin ko na lang ulit din yung ginawa ko kanina. Automatic na lang nating i-fill up. 85. Kasi, you need to input at least 2 data dun sa dalawang cell kasi para ma-determine ni Excel yung pattern. So, kunyari, kanina ito yung increment natin, tig 1 lang, di ba? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pwede siya actually, let me show you. Sabihin natin 2. So, let's start with 80 and then pasok ko lang dito, 82. So, i-select nyo lang yung dalawang column and then drag this, I'm not sure, I forgot ano tawag. Basta yung pinaka-bottom corner, drag nyo pababa. So, as you can see, automatically, nag-fill up siya by 2. Okay? So, pwede rin yan. Hindi lang yan pababa. Actually, pwede rin yung pa horizontal or row-wise. Diba? So, ngayon, like yung pinakita ko kanina, pag ano na gawin nila, ayan, dinoble click ko lang, automatically nag-populate na rin yung baba. Okay. So, pwede rin naman ganito, mas mabilis. So, kunyari, ayan. Ang gulo na niya. Pero ayan, na-fill up na natin. So, mag-format na tayo ng number. Kasi hindi naman talaga siya round number. Pwedeng may decimal. So, the quickest way to do that for numbers is, i-highlight nyo yung column. Lahat naman yan. Since lahat nitong grades natin will make it into a real number with decimal, pwede yung i-click ito lang yung option sa taas sa number. Ito ibig sabihin, yung arrow na papunta sa left is, dadagdagan niya ng decimal point. Wait, sorry. I-convert muna ito natin into number or accounting. And then, pwede mo siyang increase ng decimal. But normally, hanggang 2 lang tayo. So, ayan. Dagdag decimal. And then, ganyan. So, yung ginawa ko lang siyang automatic. May comma. Kasi kung 1,000 siya, bawa pera. Ayan, naka-accounting siya. So, automatic. Hindi mo na kailangan inputan ng comma. Diba? Ayan, binalik ko lang. So, for example naman, gusto natin may reference ng kung kailan ginawa yung quiz 1, pati yung quizzes, yung quarter exam. Pasok natin ng date. Kunyari, ang quiz 1 nila is June 1. Let me share this info pala. Let me go back to my slide. So, ito yung tip na pinakita ko kanina. I-double click nyo lang yung column divider, tas automatically mag-a-adjust siya. Okay? Yung next tip natin, ito naman, pag may laman yung cell ninyo, you just highlight either the row or the column, and then dun sa baba, you can see data like sa average, count, and yung sum or yung total. Another tip is, yung pinakita ko din, to automatically fill up yung the rest of the cell dun sa column, i-double click nyo lang kung pare-pareho naman yung laman. So kahit 1,000 rows yan, that is applicable. As long as yung nasa left side niya may laman. Pero kung yung sa left side niya hanggang number 100 lang, hanggang 100 lang din yung mafi-fill upan niya. Ito yung regarding sa date, yung date na yung format ng date na by default na fina-follow ni Excel is nakasunod kung ano yung format ng date dun sa Windows natin. I have to show this kasi baka magtaka kayo kasi ang format ko dito sa laptop, sa Windows ko is day, month, and year. So pag pinasok ko yung date ko, which I'm going to show you now, pag pinasok ko June 1, sa atin normally we input date like this, di ba? 6/1/21. Pero pag kinonvert ko to into long date, so makikita nyo, January 6 siya. Hindi siya June 1, which is what I intended. Kasi sa Windows ko, I'm gonna like, as you can see here, sa option sa Windows, yung format nga ng system date ko is month, day, and year. So, baka confuse kayo, baliktad lang. So, ibabalik ko lang siya into short date. Do-double click ko lang ulit siya para mag-automatic siya adjust. So, this one, sabihin natin July 1. So, 1 July. So, magtataka kayo bakit magkaiba siya. Ito kasi, nakaano pa siya. Nag-ano siya kanina. Dahil ginalaw, di ba kanina sinelect ko to lahat, tapos ginawa ko siyang accounting. So, i-select natin to. Gawin ko lang siya ulit muna. Gawin ko siyang short date para makita nyo kung ano yung difference. Si short date actually, wala lang siya nung, gaya nga nito si long date. Meron siyang day, tapos complete yung date niya. So makita nyo error na yung date ko. Kasi pinasok ko July 1. Kaya nag-convert na siya into number. So, pwede ko naman din siyang automatic natin i-fill up. Adjust ulit natin siya. Tapos, kung gusto nyong ibang format, masyado siyang mahaba, ayoko nung may year, i-highlight nyo lang yung date na column or row ninyo, and then, pwede tayong mag-custom. Punta tayo andito ako sa number or sa format, dito sa pagpili ng format na menu, and then, select nyo lang yung more number formats. Tapos, punta ako dito sa custom. So, ang gusto ko, MMDD. Tinype ko lang yung kung ano yung format na gusto ko, and then you click OK. Automatic na siyang nag-fill up. So, that's how you format the date naman. Okay? Let's have a simple calculation. Kunyari, gusto yung, sa quarter, mag-i-insert na lang ako dito. Highlight nyo lang. Gusto ko dito sa after ng quarter. Each quarter, kunin na lang natin yung average. So, quick ano dyan is may average na formula si Excel. So, I'm gonna put, as I mentioned kanina, kapag gagamit kayo ng formula, always merong equal sign. Equal, and then, I'm gonna type average. So, as you can see, may options, suggestions si Excel kagad. So, kahit i-type, ano nyo lang, yan, and then, i-select nyo lang kung ano yung formula, and then, press tab. Mag-fill up na siya. Tapos, Gusto ko average itong tatlo, highlight mo lang siya, automatic 'di ba, nade-determine na ni Excel kung ano yung cells, and then, you put actually kumpleto na yung formula na yan, pero so you can just press enter. Hindi ko na pinasok yung close parenthesis. So ibo-bold ko lang 'tong column na 'to kasi gusto ko since siya nga yung average 'di ba, i-bold natin. Tapos the same for the rest of this, column naman yun ang formula natin, average 'di ba? Kaya double click ko lang ulit yun dito. So mabilis na siya. Now if you want percent, so paanuhin pa natin, kunyari, um si first quarter is a percentage, yung para for computation ng last grading niya, lagyan natin kunin natin yung 0.25 niya. Yan, magpapasok lang ulit ako ng formula, tapos 25%, o yun, di ba? And then, double click ko lang ulit siya. So, that's how, yung mabilisan, or that's how you can format cells and input data. Meron pang option dito kasi if you also want, we can pakita ko sa inyo 'tong format, yung by default na mga layout ni Excel dito. So, ha-highlight niyo lang siya kung ano yung gusto niyong if you want a little bit more fancy na, spreadsheet. Tapos gusto niyo blue, itong format na 'to. So, you just select para automatic nag-a-alternate siya. Tapos select niyo lang na may table, yung may header, kung may header, which is may header naman yung table natin. Ayan, so automatic. Actually, kapag marami ng laman yung, spreadsheet niyo, medyo mas madali na siya lalo na kung mahaba na rin yung column na may laman for readability. Madali na mag-refer. Tapos, halimbawa sabihin natin maraming-marami na talaga 'tong ibabalik ko lang siya sa dati, Kasi, kung makikita niyo yung mga walang header, automatically finill up niya, column 1, 2, 3. So, kung ayaw niyo 'yan, you can actually hide the column and then put a new header here, dun sa top. Suggestion ko lang 'yun. Pero so, for this demo, ibabalik ko lang muna siya balik muna natin siya dun sa dati, sa kanina. Ang ginawa ko pala Control-Z, which is undo. Universally, that's, not just in Excel, Control-Z, ano 'yan, parang by default action. You can do that in Word, kahit sa mga WordPad, gano'n. I'm sorry, hindi ko na-expect na ganito siya kabagal. Dapat pala hindi ko na siya in-undo. So, apologize. Bear with me. Anyway, let's go back muna before I show you some more. Let's go back to the slide. Kasi meron pa akong ibang tips dito. Okay. Ito yung for numbers, you can, like yung pinakita ko kanina, actually, that's easier. Magse-set lang kayo ng data do sa first two cells and then you will select and drag. Ito, isa pang way kung paano magpo-populate. Pag for numbers, press hold control, then drag the bottom right corner of the cell across the range you want to fill automatically with a series of number. So for this one, input mo yung number 1 and then that same bottom corner, press mo yung control and then drag it pababa kung hanggang ilang cell ang gusto mo. Tapos automatic fill up siya in sequential na number. So, yung note dito sa baba, to establish a pattern, fill up the first two cells before dragging across a range of cells. Yun talaga yung importante. Ito naman for dates. This is actually okay for if konting cell lang naman, kasi dalawang kamay yung gagamitin mo dito. Easier yung kanina na pinapakita ko na magse-select ka ng yung mouse lang. So, you just need to use one hand. So, for dates, instead of control, you will hold naman yung alt. So, ayan. Mag-input kayo sa isang cell and then press alt and then drag. So, like this one, nakita nyo, automatically na-fill up din yung the remaining cells. So, the same note to establish a pattern, fill up the first two cells before dragging across a range of cells. Sorry. Balikan natin yung... Ayan. So, bumalik na yung Excel ko. Let's say, for example, mahabang-mahaba na tong... maraming-marami ng laman yung spreadsheet nyo. Tapos, gusto nyo yung... Siyempre, yung header, for reference, pag maraming-marami na yan, nakakalito na. Even yung guide natin dito, kung mahabang-mahaba na yan, let's say, ayan, ima-maximize ko, kunyari, para, kunyari, hindi natin nakikita. So, gusto ko makita si fourth quarter, tapos, kunyari, papadamihin ko lang, ha. Kokopyahin ko lang yung row na gusto ko, highlight ko lang siya, and then, kung saan ko siya gusto ilagay. So, nag-control C po ako, nag-control C ako, and then, control E. So, ayan. So, di ba parang ang ano na nung screen natin? Gusto ko mag-scroll pababa, pero gusto ko yung header ko andyan pa rin. And pag nagpunta ako dito, gusto ko andito pa rin yung reference ko na row. So, pwede tayong mag-freeze pane. First, pwedeng ang ilalak lang natin is yung header or yung column. So, pag, kung saan yung, isa-select nyo yung row, kung ano yung next na select ko lang tong sa row 4 and then punta kayo sa view, click niyo yung freeze pane and then select freeze pane. So, ayan, nakikita niyo nakalock na yung header natin. Kaso gusto ko din na pati to, 'di ba? Pag napunta tayo horizontally. So, tatanggalin niyo yung to do that, tanggalin niyo muna yung nakaset na freeze pane, unfreeze. And then, kung gusto nyo parehong may naka-freeze na header and dito sa left side, ito yung pipiliin ko. Kasi gusto ko dito siya mag-lock sa column C and sa row, hanggang row 3. Kaya, ito yung pipiliin kong cell. And then, I'm just gonna select freeze pane. So, with this, as you can see, nakalock siya sa header. And then, when I scroll to the right, nakalock din yung left side ko. So, I can go hanggang mahabang-mahaba na siya. Hindi gagalaw yung header ko or kahit nandito na tayo sa dulong-dulo, may reference point ka pa din. Alam mo pa rin yung ginagawa mo. Okay? So, that's freeze pane. Now, let me minimize this back. Halimbawa, ito lang yung data natin. Masyadong madaming nakalabas. Gusto ko, para pag gusto ko ipasa to sa iba, para hindi confusing sa kanila, gusto ko itago. May option ka na itago the remaining column para hindi na nila input na ng data. So, ang gagawin mo lang, i-highlight mo yung column, and then, control, highlight mo siya, and then you press control, and then arrow to the right, para pumunta siya sa dulo. Sorry. You need to control shift. So, control, shift, and then arrow to the right. So, na-select niya yung the remaining cells, di ba? Then you just highlight it, right-click. Actually, you can right-click any column. And then you just select that. Tapos, balikan nyo na yung pag-shift nyo, yung work area. Gusto ko din i-restrict para hindi na madagdagan ang row. So, you just select the row. Ito naman, hindi tayo pupunta. We're not going to the right, but we're going down, di ba? So, control, shift, and then arrow down. So, like I mentioned kanina, it's a million row. So, and then right-click on any rows and then click hide. So, malinis yung worksheet natin. Diba? So, paano mo siya ibabalik? Actually, unhide lang natin yan. Gina so, lumabas na siya, di ba? Andun na ulit yung mga, inano ko lang, parang finorce ko lang siya na ilabas yung, and the same with this, drag mo lang pababa. I-select mo lang, tapos, ayun, lumabas na siya. So, the same with column, you just highlight the row and then double click, tapos automatically magre-resize yung column. Okay? So, now, naka-prepare na yung worksheet mo, gusto mo merong hard copy, magpiprint ka. So, ito yung option ko na print preview, nilabas ko lang siya mabilis dyan. So, pwedeng tignan muna natin kung paano siya mapiprint out. Hindi kasi ito gaya ni Word na naka-ready na yung page. Minsan sa Excel, magugulat tayo pag print natin, ilang pages siya, di ba? So, punta tayo sa page layout. I-click yung view dito. Sorry. Punta na lang natin to, yung option dito sa status bar, para tignan natin kung paano siya mapiprint, kung ilang pages siya. So, makita nyo, ginawa ni Excel, 1 page siya, 2 pages siya. Gusto ko 1 page lang siya. So, yung quick dyan is, drag nyo lang yung blue. Yan yung print area niya eh. So, ito, ifo-force ko siya na 1 page. Okay, ayan. Tapos, so, kiklik ko na yung print preview. So, ayan, makita nyo, pinilit natin talaga na 1 page lang siya. So, pwede natin palitan yung orientation. Ayan, so pa-landscape na siya. Tapos, meron dito custom scaling. Pwede natin fit sheet in 1 page. So, mas malaki siya. Ngayon, let's say, balikan muna natin. Balik tayo dito. Gusto nyo talaga, let's say, 4 pages. Gusto natin 4. Itong option na to, ibig sabihin kung ilang page width, isi-set nyo lang siya. So, yung width niya, iset natin to 2 pages. Bumalik siya dun sa kanina. And then, yung height, pwede, kung ilan yung pages na gusto niyo. Ako, gusto ko rin 2 pages. So, asa na yung page? Ano po? Additional. So, napag-cash. Pwede ring, since ito, multiple page na tayo. Wait lang ha. Kasi na-determine niya na. Pwede tayong mag-set ng header and footer. So, para may pang-mark tayo kung anong page number. Okay. So, babalik lang siya sa normal view. Tapos, mag-set tayo. Header natin is grading sheet something. And then, doon na tayo sa footer. Lagyan ko lang siya ng page. So, nakita niyo, dun, nagbali sa ako nagpunta, sa insert. Tapos, yung dito sa dulong part, nandito yung header and footer. So, ngayon, pag nag-preview tayo, kiklik ko ulit yung preview. Ayan. So, makita nyo meron na siyang header and meron na din siyang footer. Tapos, pwedeng like restrict or gusto nyo one of one. Pwedeng iset din natin to fit yung scaling niya. Ayan. Kasya siya sa one page, kaya hindi tinutuloy yung pages 3 and 4 kanina. Okay? So, um, actually, that's it. That covers our basic Excel. Uh, yung mga formulas po kasi that will be discussed further sa advanced. So, yeah. May questions po ba tayo?
All right. So, is there any questions po from the teachers? Let's spend the remaining time for Q&A. All right. So, sige, test muna natin if functional yung mga mics natin. Okay? Para alam natin if we are still we're still on on the same page. So, good morning, teachers.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning po.
Ayun.
Morning
Yeah.
po.
Love to hear your voices and thank you
Ah,
very much for
Morning.
responding. Yes, Icon, you
hello.
have inputs?
Sorry, may gusto pa ako idagdag, nakalimutan ko. Wala kasi sa slide ko. May gusto ako
Okay, sure.
i-share.
Sure, no
May isa
problem.
pa akong gusto i-share pala. Kasi this might be useful din sa inyo. Sorry. So, let me go back to the normal view. Let's say gusto nyo naman, Ibahin natin yung orientation. For some reason, ang gusto niyong gawin is yung students ang nasa header. So select niyo lang yung mga naka-row. You can select the cells, then right click, copy. Tapos dito ko siya gagawin in a new sheet. I-zoom ko lang. Tapos you can do transpose. So you go down to paste special, click niyo lang siya. And then, click nyo dito sa baba yung transpose na box. So, that's how you can easily convert yung mga nasa row papunta siya sa column, sa header. So, and then you just adjust. Double. Ayan. So, that's another tip that I want to show you. Tapos, may isa pa, yung comments. Halimbawa, dito sabihin natin na actually yung July 1 pala, hindi naman talaga siya July 1, pero yan yung intended na na date. So lagyan natin ng comment. So ira-right click ko lang siya and then mag-a-add ako ng I'm not sure if your Excel has yung version nyo merong ganito, new comment or new note. Previously kasi note lang meron talaga si Excel. So tanggalin ko lang yung name ko. Sabihin natin, ito makeup class or something. So, lahat nung may mga comment, mark siya with that, it's marked with red, yung upper right corner. So, ano naman difference ng yung comment? Actually, pakita ko sa inyo si comment, ito, hi. Ah, Si comment pwedeng reply. Pwede siyang replyan. Halimbawa, ifo-forward nyo to sa other teachers, or sa other colleague nyo, tapos meron kayong gusto ipa-correct pa-check sa kanila, and ito pa-discuss, ayan, pwede kayong mag-chat sa Excel. Pwede nila lang replyan yung comment ninyo. You can actually hide that. Hanapin natin. Review. So, ayan. Show comments. So, diyan kayo mag-uusap. To delete, di-delete nyo na lang yung delete comment or reply to comment. So, right click or you can use this option. Actually, you can copy rin the note. In the same way na pinakita yung ginawa ko kanina sa pag-transpose. So, yung cell, right-click nyo lang siya, copy or Control-C. And then kung saan nyo siya ikokopya, let's say, here in this new sheet, gusto nyo dito siya lagyan ng comment, ng note, paste special, and then, piliin nyo lang yung comments and notes. Para yun lang yung makokopya niya. So, hindi nyo siya kailangan isa-isahin per cell. Okay. And what else I want to share with you? I think, to quickly get the sum din pala, hindi nyo naman dito gusto ko makita yung sum. So, piliin nyo lang yung sa ibaba nung column or even row. And then here, yung formula, madali makikita. Click nyo na lang ulit. So, automatically, andyan na siya. Nilagay nyo yung formula. So, if that's okay with you or gusto nyo um, hanggang ano lang, i-select nyo lang kung ano yung row na covered. Ayaw niya. Anyway. So, automatic. Adjust ko lang siya. So, ayaw niya. Sorry. Pwede nyo i-adjust. Or you can manually adjust yung covered nung formula. So, for this, lalagay ko hanggang kay 13 lang. Type na lang natin. Yan. So, ayun po. Ayan na yung rest so that's it. Yan yung natitirang tips na gusto ko i-share.
All right. So thank you, Econ, for sharing more tips to
Welcome.
our teachers, and really do appreciate you volunteering as one of our speakers for today. So to keep us moving forward, as promised, we're gonna have our raffle for today. So first, we're gonna pick for the early birds. So wait lang, let me share my screen. By the way, for the teachers, do you guys have any questions po for Econ? Okay, so I presume there's none. Okay, all right. So let's move forward with the raffle. Okay. So ang isa natin pinakahihintay. All right. So for the early birds, we have 45 unique entries. So ready na ba kayo? Let me know if you're ready.
Yes, excited na ba ang mga
Po.
teachers?
Yes.
Opo.
All right. So
Yes,
again, as a note, this will be worth 500 500 worth of GC, 500 peso worth of GC. Yung GC po is flexible on all platforms. You can use it in redeeming pure gold certificates, in redeeming Grab, Lala Move, basta flexible siya so you can use it anywhere you want. Okay? So our lucky winner for today as the early bird is
Iyan excuse. Facebook
ay
ng ating tita.
sorry, wait lang. Hindi pa pala ako naka-share screen. Okay, so ulit dito pala ako naka-share screen. Right. So let me know if you can see the roleta na.
Yes.
Yan. So these are our early birds for today. So again, ano ito? Take two. Take two. Hindi ko pa naman siya napindot kanina. So buti na lang in-inform ako nila Mitch. Okay. So raffle na natin.
Sino kaya ang maswerte ngayon, teachers?
Yes. So it's alright. So it's Ma'am Evelyn Pavillar. So congratulations po for winning our first
Thank you, Sir
roleta.
Adrian.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, no worries. So, Ma'am Evelyn Favillar. Okay, so take note natin to, Mitch. Thank you. Right. Okay, screenshot mo, Mitch, para may record tayo sa chat.
Na-screenshot ko na.
Okay, okay. Pakisenda lang dito sa Teams chat. Alright. So, thank you very much for that. Close ko na. Then, we also have a separate draw for the general public. General public. Okay, wait lang. I-draw ko lang. Kunin ko lang siya. Okay, so kunin ko lang yung latest list natin para lahat ay kasama. Okay, so recorded ang ating mga attendees. Let's just remove the duplicates, then salpak na natin to. Okay. Okay. So we have 54 unique entries. So for this one po, dalawa yung i-draw natin. Okay? Right. So ang first draw is, sino kaya ang winner? Alright. Uy, it's Ma'am Rajeli Perez. So congratulations po for winning our second draw.
Congrats!
Thank you
Apo,
very much.
congrats. Thank you din po. Okay, so remove na natin si Ma'am. Once na tayo pwede manalo ha for the raffle. Okay, so next draw, we have okay, so si Ma'am Dayan Therese B. Perido. Okay, so thank you very much, Ma'am, and congratulations. Our next winner. Right. So more of those raffle later after our next speaker, ano. So for now, we're gonna hand it over to we're gonna hand over the floor to
Si Julie.
Julie. Okay, si Julie. Hi, Julie.
Hello, good morning po. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Miss Julie.
Hello, hi Mitch. Okay, so start na ako. Sige. Let me share my screen and also please let me know if you can hear me clearly. Okay. So let's start. So as you can see, I'm currently sharing my screen, no? I want you to take a look at this very, very closely. And then later on, meron po akong question na itatanong sa inyo. Ta-da! Okay, so currently I'm sharing a slide. And ang gusto ko po sana mangyari is for the teachers here in this call to let me know via the chat box what you think are the elements that can be improved or what are the things here na parang hindi nag-work ng maayos. So, pwede nyo pong very quickly i-type sa chat box kung ano yung nakikita nyo na hindi ka nais-nais. Type lang po tayo for a bit of interaction with our teachers, no? Let's see. Ako, baka nahihirapan silang mag-type. Okay, so I see Ma'am Chona Reyes said text. Okay. Font style and color, that's good. Sige po. So I'll have the other teachers type in their answers, pero later on, we will get back to these answers, okay? So I'm going to proceed with the presentation. Tuloy-tuloy lang po yung pag-type nyo, no? If may makita kayo na hindi nyo gusto dito sa pinapakita kong slide ngayon. Okay, so moving on. Good morning po ulit, everyone. So, a little bit about me. I'm Julie Baha. I've been with DXC for almost 6 years now. And actually po, before I became an IT professional, I was a teacher. I was a working student and I had a part-time job teaching math and science to Korean students. And after I graduated, I had the opportunity to also teach English as a second language to kids in grade school. So, yan po. Also, um, as an IT professional, I do a lot of presentations as well. So, kaya po ito yung pinili ko to help you create effective presentations. Simple but compelling presentations. So, in today's talk sa gagawin ko po, I'm going to very quickly discuss why we're here. Why are we talking about creating effective presentations? Also, I'm going to give you 7 guidelines on how to go about creating simple but compelling PowerPoint presentations or slide presentations. And then later on, we'll have some exercises para po ma-retain natin yung information and to see how we can actually apply these tips into your slide presentations that you can use in your classroom or online classes. Okay, so why are we here? So I know that one of the biggest challenges as educators, as teachers, is to keep your learners' attention, the attention of your students. The tendency for humans is to have a very short attention span. We easily get distracted. And another thing is we have to ensure that we are imparting knowledge effectively. And now that we're in the pandemic, it's even more challenging. This distance learning, doing online classes, students will have a lot more distractions. Sobrang dami nating kalaban para sa attention ng mga students natin, no? And today, I hope to provide you with a tool to make you better equipped para makapag-create ng mga slide decks na simple lang but very effective. Slide decks that will serve as your visual aids for your presentations. Now, there are some differences po, no, in the conventions that we use when we are presenting in the business industry like IT and in the education sector. For example, there's the time limit. Most of the time sa business po, like what we do, very, very short lang yung binibigay sa aming time to present. Unlike sa classroom, sa online classes, you'll have a little bit more time. Also, the number of slides, usually sa business, konti lang yan, mga 1 to 3. But when you're doing your presentations for your class, pwedeng as many as you can. And we will talk about more of that later on. And sa content and sa intent, for business, it's usually for reports, summary of everything. Compared to sa education, it's more of informational talaga. Like you have to really discuss in detail some things. However, even with these differences, there are similarities na we need to really tackle kahit nasa ang sector or industry ka pa. So, number one is that you have to capture your audience attention in the first 30 seconds. That will make your presentation the most effective. Kailangan, unang slide pa lang, kuha mo na. Kuha mo na yung attention nila. And then the second one is what we call the working memory. Like sa mga tao, there is such a thing that we call working memory. So, kunti lang yung na-absorb ng mga utak natin at a particular point in time. So we will talk more about that in the next slides. Okay? So moving on. So like what I said earlier, I'll be presenting 7 guidelines that will help us create simple but compelling PowerPoint presentations. So let me just quickly run you through those tips before we go to them one by one. So first, we're going to talk about keeping it simple. Then we're going to talk about using images effectively. And then next, we're going to talk about making it work for smaller screens. And then choosing the correct font style. So kanina sa chat box may nagsabi yung font and yung text, right? So we're going to talk about that later. And then using contrast properly. Limiting the number of objects that you put in your slide. And last but not the least, taking advantage of smart graphs, smart art and graphs. So moving on to the first one, we have keeping it simple. So for this particular, talk, simple to us means stories and images make people learn with ease. So napapadali ng stories and images yung pag-retain ng information ng mga learners natin. So the slide I presented at the very, very beginning of this presentation is very far from simple. Napaka-busy ng slide na yon, as you will attest, no? As you've noticed. So our tendency sometimes is to put all the information in one slide. And we don't want to do that. Wag po nating punuin ng information ng lahat ng slides natin because we don't want to overwhelm our learners. That's the least that we want to do. We want them to absorb the information, retain it, and using images and stories will help our learners form associations. Mas madali nilang ma-retain yung information pag may nakikita silang images or may kinikwento tayo sa kanila while an image is up in our screen. Now, also, it's very also effective to use simple backgrounds. Ayaw natin yung masyadong busy and masyadong maraming nangyayari sa slide natin. And I don't know if you've noticed, but at the beginning, when I shared my screen, ang daming mga gumagalaw na text, nag-a-appear here and there, no? So, PowerPoint has a feature that we can add animations to the text and images, and for making effective presentations, we actually don't need a lot of those. They can be effective if used sparingly, pero if too much po, then it defeats the purpose. So that's the first one. Now, number two is using images effectively. So part of keeping things simple is the use of images. Pero we can't just throw any image that we want. Hindi pwedeng basta-basta image na lang, no? We want to use maybe one or two really great pictures. So that would work already. And you want to make your presentation stand out and not visually overwhelm your students. And we use images to present ideas, pero it should not be distracting. And it should be related to the topic. You know, there's a tendency to put some jokes, for example, or those that we call memes para ma-attract yung students. Pero sometimes we want to keep ourselves from doing that kasi baka ma-distract sila. And especially if wala namang kinalaman sa topic yung pinapakita nating image, right? And like I said earlier, images help learners form associations. So nalilink nila yung image to the concept that you're trying to explain. And remember po that your slides, they're meant to complement your presentation. They are visual aids. They're not the actual presentation, if that makes sense. Kayo po, at the end of the day, ang nagsishare ng knowledge, and your slides are supposed to be just visual aids to support you, to aid you in making it effective. Okay, also, sa images, the reaction is immediate. Kapag may nakita silang very interesting images, yung attention nila magiging focused. So that is the power of images compared to words, which take longer for students to, absorb. Okay. Now, when it comes to images, no, of course, we want to use images that are sharp. Ayaw natin yung blurry, yung halos wala na tayong makita. Or pixelated. You know, when we download photos, for example, from the internet, tapos we try to stretch itong mga photos na to, then it becomes blurry. We don't want to do that. Also, ayaw natin ng mga maliliit na images, and we don't want to overuse our visuals. Okay, so those are the things that we can do to effectively use images in our presentations. Now, in the next few slides, I'm going to share with you some types of images that you can use. For example, in this one, I am sharing a comic strip, right? So when a particular concept, like in this case, the imaginary number sa math, medyo mahirap siyang concept na ma-absorb ng mga students. So you can use a comic strip to make it easier for them to understand a particular concept. Or you can put a photo of a person. In this case, I'm showing Marie Curie. If you want to talk about her contributions to science, to radiology, and all of that, and to talk about history. And speaking of history, I have here a photo of a tourist in the Cochitanos in Vietnam para may impact, para mas impactful yung i-discuss ko, for example, a historical event that happened or that took place in this particular country. So, ganyan naman po. Sometimes though, like this one, na share ko sa inyo, the citric acid cycle, hindi natin maiiwasan na complex. Complex yung diagram. So what do? We can actually make use of, in PowerPoint, some tools where we can magnify a particular place dito sa PowerPoint natin. So, pwede ko punta dito sa fumarate. And then if I'm talking about oxalosuccinate, then I go there. And to help us better actually, meron ding laser pointer so that I can guide my learners kung saan sila titingin. Dito, so water with cis aconitate, for example. Or kung gusto ko silang tumingin dito sa malate, then papapuntahin ko yung mata nila dyan using your laser pointer. Okay? Now, number 3, we want that our presentations work even for smaller screens. Alam naman po natin, in reality, not everyone, unfortunately, will work on big screens. Hindi lahat may laptops, hindi lahat may desktops, right? Some of our students will work using their mobile phones. So, napakalit na screen. And we want that even gumagamit sila ng mobile phones, no, or maliit na screen, kita pa rin nila yung presentation. So, in the next few slides, makita natin how to help with that, how to make sure that our presentation work for small screens. For the teachers naman po, if you want to check, you can actually try viewing after nyo magawa yung presentation nyo. You can try viewing your presentation in your own mobile phones para makita nyo, parang masyadong maliit yung ginamit ko na font. Parang hindi masyadong kita yung image. So, you can work with that. So, ayun na nga po. Number 4, choosing the right font style. And you can see here in my screen, I have placed the font. The Arial, Open Sans, and Warden script. And currently, this is about 120 yung font size niya. Napakalaki. So, very easy on the eyes, no? And now, if we, however, move on to the next slide, mas pinaliit ko siya. This is 72. Medyo kita pa rin. Basa pa rin, no? Now, paano pag minove ko siya na ganito? Paano pag ginawa ko siyang paragraph format? Now, you can see here, sa Arial, okay, legible pa rin, nababasa pa rin natin. Open Sans, okay, good, nababasa pa rin. However, for this type of font na thin and cursive, it doesn't work really well in terms of legibility kapag marami na kayong information na nilalagay. So as much as possible, we want to avoid using cursive and thin na fonts. Also, in your PowerPoint presentations, it's very helpful to have what we call a primary and a secondary font. So parang kunwari may title kayo or a concept na gusto nyong i-highlight, you can use a particular font like Arial. And then para sa mga supporting details, you can use Open Sans naman or another font but in a smaller font size. Now, if you can see Arial and Open Sans, these types of font, we call them sans serif. So ito po yung mga fonts na walang curves masyado, more of straight lines lang sila kasi sila po yung legible when we use in PowerPoint presentations. Okay, now moving on to the next one, we have using contrast properly. Okay, so you see here, I have 4 boxes. And what we can see here is that we cannot see them well, basically. So the first 2 boxes, itong green, blue and yellow, and then red and green combinations, these are actually color-blind combinations. So if we have students who might be color-blind, then they will not be able to see this well. Tapos dito sa lower left, I have gray on gray. So that is using low contrast na background sa low contrast na font. So, hindi ko siya mabasa na maayos. Napatrain yung mata natin, no? And dito naman sa lower right-hand side, dark or high contrast na background and then high contrast din yung ginamit natin sa text. So, it doesn't really work and it doesn't make me read the information better. So these are some of the things that we want to avoid when using contrast. Now, going to the next slide though, you can see here, I have yung uso light and dark mode. So these ones work because in the first case, in the left one, we have a low contrast background. And then we have the high contrast color na black. So, mas madali siyang makita. Dito naman sa right-hand side though, we have the dark background and then white text, so light yung contrast, which works very easily mababasa yung mga letters, no? Yung mga words na nakalagay sa screen. So, that's what we want to do para wag ma-strain yung mata ng mga learners natin, right? Okay. Now, I'm going to move on to the next slide. Ito na. Limit the number of objects. Sabi ko kanina, we don't want to overwhelm our students, right? Now, magkakaroon tayo ng exercise, no, mga teachers. Punta po tayo ulit sa text, sa chat box natin. In the next slides, I'm going to show you objects na nasa slide. And ang gusto ko pong gawin nyo is to count kung ilang objects yung nakikita nyo. And pagkatapos yung isang makount, i-type po natin sa chat box kung ilan yung nakita natin na objects. Okay, I hope clear po ang instructions. So again, I'm going to show you a slide. Tapos po, bilangin yung objects and then type in the chat box kung ilan as soon as ma-finish po yung counting. Okay? So, i-try natin sa first one. Okay, ready and go. Ay, taka na siya nag-change. Okay, go na po. Bilangin po natin. Sige. Okay. May mga nagta-type na po sa screen. I see 15, 13. Okay, so good. Actually, there are 15 circles here, no? And that took more than 3 seconds for us to count and then type. Now, pupunta na po ako sa next slide and the same thing. Bibilangin po natin kung ilan yung nandoon and then type it in the chat box. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Tingnan ko. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, good. I see number 8. Correct. So there are 8 objects. And I know, as you also know, na mas mabilis na nabilang ko and then na-type ko sa chat box kung ilan yung nakita ko. Now, going on to the next slide, let's see naman kung gaano kabilis natin, no? Matatype sa chat box kung ilan yung nakikita nating object. So, ready and go. Okay, good. So much faster. Ang bilis po ng mga nag-type ng answer natin na 6. And that's right. We have 6 objects here. So what do I want to show dito sa particular part na to ng presentation, no? What I want to show here is that mas madali for us to absorb whatever is presented to us if kaunti lang yung nakikita natin. And in this particular case, as I'm pretty sure you know, pagkakita nyo agad, hindi nyo na kailangan siyang bilangin na 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because isang kita pa lang, alam nyo na, 6 siya. Na parang hindi nyo na kailangan talagang mag-process masyado nung nakikita nyo. And that's the point that I want to put across with limiting the number of objects that you put in your slide. As much as possible, we put one concept or one particular message in our slide. And then, as much as possible, konti lang talaga. And in this particular case, according to studies, the optimal number of objects to put is 6. So, 6 yung ilagay nyo. So, it could be a text, a combination of text, image, or animation, as much as possible, konti lang. Also, minention ko kanina yung working memory. So according to studies, the human brain can only take up to 3 to 4 information at one time. So if bigyan kita, isabihin ko sa inyo ngayon yung cellphone number ko, for example, most likely you will remember only the first 3, the last 3, or some 3 numbers in between. So ganun siya, that's how our brain works. Parang konti lang yung kaya niyang ilagay temporarily sa brain natin, and that's what we want to take advantage of when we're creating slide presentations. Huwag masyadong marami for our learners. We don't want to overwhelm them. And remember po, mga teachers, that your slides, they're not your handouts. When we talk about handouts, that's different kasi it has the more detailed information that we want our students to get. So, for example, katulad nung present ko kanina slide, I put there photosynthesis, right? And then I have a paragraph of what it is about. So, that will work if I give them the handout. Pero pag sa slide natin, we don't want all that information there. Only the main and the main concept, tapos supporting details lang. Very, very minimal. Okay? So, that's what I want to mention here. And you might be asking, hala, ibig sabihin ba if I cannot put a lot of information in my slide, ibig sabihin ba nun, Miss Julie, that I have to create many slides? The answer to that question is yes. And okay lang. Okay lang na marami kayong slides sa presentation niya. That's perfectly fine. Kasi presentation naman yan eh. This particular slide deck na pinapresent ko po sa inyo, it's actually 33 slides in total. 36 pala. 36 slides in total. Pero remember, I'm only going to be presenting you 7 tips, 'di ba? 7 tips, pero I have 36 slides. That is so that I can make this presentation effective. So I have examples like this, 3 slides, ginugol ko para mapakita sa inyo yung advantage of limiting the number of objects, of how it makes the presentation more effective, no? So okay lang po na 40, 50 slides yung i-present nyo. Also, remember po that you can actually reuse naman your slides, no? So it's okay to put in the effort sa start, and then you can just reuse the same slide for other classes. So okay lang po yon. And last but not the least, so I have here, take advantage of smart art and graphs. Now, see PowerPoint, it has a feature for smart graphs. So ito yung sa mga processes, sa flow of information, if you want to show them more stunningly or effectively, and sa mga graphs. Now, to um, to my point, I'm showing here a table, for example. So, dito sa table na to, ang daming information. I have 4 columns, 4 rows, and 16 numbers here, no? And with maayos siyang tingnan, organized, but when we think about it, if we present this to our students, it will only distract the learners. Bakit distract? Because they wouldn't know where to look. Parang ano bang kailangan kong tingnan? Itong category 1, category 4? Sa item 4 ba ako titingnan? Kailangan ko bang tingnan yung 1.7? And even if alam nila kung saan titingin, baka hindi nila alam how to interpret. It's not easy for them to interpret the information presented to them. So magkakaroon ng info overload, and so we need to take these into consideration. And alam natin, mga teachers, na sometimes may mga connection issues, internet connection issues. As I've seen earlier, may mga teachers tayo, for example, na nahihirapang mag-join sa meeting natin, right? And it's the same thing in actual classes, in actual online classes, where your students might have bad internet connection, or even kayo may bad internet connection, right? So, ano ibig sabihin nun? For example, gumamit kayo ng laser pointer para sabihin kung saan sila dapat tumingin. O, tingin kayo dito sa category 4, item 4, dito sa number 7. Pwedeng ang mangyari, pinopoint nyo na sa number 7, yung audio nyo, naririnig na ng students nyo, pero yung video na nakikita nila, nandun pa sa previous slide. Highly likely mangyari, especially if there's bad connection. So you have to take those into consideration. Pwedeng may mga lags sa presentation nyo, sa audio nyo, and that will confuse your learners kapag hindi nila nakikita kung ano yung sinasabi nyo. So kung hindi nagsisync. So to help with that, meron ako, just template lang. For example, this is a smart art that will help show processes, like from one point to another, and then to the next. So, pag may mga processes. Also, of course, may chart din yan. So, pwede ditong mapakita nyo very easily na sa first part, if this is a chronological bar graph, no, makikita nila, okay, so during the first quarter of the year, this particular series, mataas ang value. The next one, itong pink ang mataas ang value. O in the last quarter, itong gray. So, mas madali and mas visually compelling, no? Kapag nakikita nila in this manner. Hindi lang to sa bar graph. There are a lot of other charts that we can use in PowerPoint. We will later on, take a look at them na parang demo para mas makita natin where to find these features ni PowerPoint. Okay? So, to summarize, we have, again, keep it simple. Stories and images make people learn with ease. We use images effectively. Using images effectively, we have to make sure mga 1 or 2 lang. And we have to make sure also that sharp yung images, hindi blurry or pixelated. We have to make it work for smaller screens because not everyone will have a big screen to view our presentations. Choosing the correct font style na iwasan natin yung mga thin and cursive na fonts, and for us to select 1 or 2 types of fonts lang. in our presentations. And we have number 5, using contrast properly. We don't want to strain the eyes of our students. As much as possible, we want them na relax lang and to really focus on the information that we have. Limiting the number of objects, the optimal number to put there is just 6. A combination of text and images that would work. And last but not the least, taking advantage of smart art and graphs in PowerPoint presentation or actually in other platforms for slide presentations. Meron din sila mga smart art and graphs. Okay. Now, as promised, meron akong pa-exercise pero very quickly lang naman. Try natin na i-apply yung mga present ko ngayon, itong mga guidelines natin, no? So, in the next slide, ipapakita ko ulit yung slide na ginamit ko kanina, no? Yung pinakita ko po kanina. So, tingnan natin ulit. Tada! Kita niyo yun? Gumaganon-ganon pa si photosynthesis, gumagalaw-galaw pa. So, ito po yung pinakita ko kanina. And based sa mga present ko, we are going to improve this particular slide. And sige, let's go. Let's go ahead and do that. So, sinabi natin kanina, keep it simple. And we don't want na masyadong busy yung slide. So, try natin na tanggalin yung background na green na plants and try natin tanggalin yung animation. So, ayan. Ito na, yung next slide ko. So, wala na yung green na background, wala na yung animations, nandun sa kaagad. Now, we said to use images effectively and make it work for smaller screens. If makita ko dito, itong photosynthesis, yes, that would work, malaki siya, pero ito, masyado siyang maliit. And I have 2 images basically saying the same thing. I have carbon dioxide here, and then I have sugar here, oxygen, and water. And I have that same information dito sa lower left hand, which says carbon dioxide, water, glucose, and oxygen. So, medyo redundant. So, let's try to remove one of the images and then palakihin natin yung font and palitan natin ng sans serif, yung mas legible basahin. Okay? So, let's do that. Tada! Okay. So, photosynthesis, iniba na natin yung font style. Tinanggalan natin yung isang image sa baba. We changed the font style also for the paragraph, pero green and, yellow and blue, medyo masakit sa mata and it's a colorblind combination. Let's change that. Okay. That is much better. However, we said we have to limit the number of objects, right? So, i-summarize natin itong paragraph on photosynthesis. Let's get like the more important information we have there. It says, converting light energy to chemical energy, okay, through the process of cellular respiration. And then it says something about sugars and starches. Tapos sabi, it's synthesizing carbon dioxide and water. Okay, mukhang mahalaga yon. And then it says oxygen. Maintaining the oxygen. So, oxygen here, minanggit din. It's released as a waste product. Now, if I go to the next slide, tada! So, ano na, mas okay na, no? Parang na synthesize ko na yung information. I only put here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 na important points and an image to talk about photosynthesis. And kung mapapansin nyo po, photosynthesis here has a smaller font size compared to the details that I put here as bullet points. Why is that so? I know the counterproductive. Usually kasi ang template natin sa PowerPoints, sobrang laki ng title, tapos yung mga supporting details yung maliit. But when we think about it, ano ba mas importante talaga? For them to remember the name photosynthesis or for them to remember the process. More often than not, it's the process for them to understand rather than how it's actually called. Of course, that's also important. Pero what we want here to do is for them to focus on these points, on the process itself, and then next is to remember how that process is called. In this case, photosynthesis. So ito na siya, the improved version of our slide from earlier, from this, no, to this, no. So I hope you agree po, no. Now on to the last part. Meron akong prepare na um, meron akong prepare na crossword puzzle para sa inyo. So gamitin ulit natin yung chat box for you to type your answers. So let's go. Let's see. So the first one, what do we have to do with to ensure that we are creating effective presentations? We have to keep it. What's the answer? We have to keep it simple. Correct. We have to keep it simple. Thank you. The second one, we have to use these effectively. Kailangan one or two lang, or kailangan sharp yung mga ginagamit natin na ganito. Okay, I'm seeing the answers. Images, correct. We have to use images effectively. Also, it's a fact that hindi lahat may big screen. So we have to make sure that our presentation also work for these type of screens. Okay, Teacher Linda Morse, yes, small, correct. We have to make sure that our presentations also work for smaller screens. Now, the next one, kailangan ito yung style, yung size, even the color sometimes, very important that we have to take into consideration, no? Na dapat legible yung ginagamit natin ng element na to. Okay, yes. Thank you sa mga sumagot. Font, correct. The answer is font. Now, second to the last, we have to make sure na hindi ma-strain yung eyes sa mga students natin. No? Hindi ma-strain yung eyes. And that we don't use color-blind color combinations like blue and yellow and red and green. Ayan, yes, correct. The answer is contrast. So please, try to avoid yung mga loud masyado na mga kulay in your presentation. A simple black and white actually works. Kailangan nyo lang siyang lagyan ng other elements that will make it more effective. And last but not the least, how many is the optimal number of objects that we should put in our slides? Ilan yung optimal for our working memory? Okay. Okay. Yes, thank you. Nababasa ko ang mga sagot nyo. And yes, the correct answer is 6. Ayan. So, thank you so much. Ang galing naman. Thank you mga teachers no for answering. Now, to wrap up my presentation, pwede na po kayong magtanong sa akin. Q&A portion, if may mga questions po kayo for me, na bumabagabag sa mga isipan nyo na baka hindi ko na-cover but I might be able to answer, then please go ahead. You can type it in the chat box or pwede po kayo mag-unmute to ask me the question. Okay. Wala pong sumasagot sa akin. Okay lang. Okay lang po mga teachers, no? I've actually prepared some questions na baka hindi nyo lang naiisip ngayon, pero will be helpful for you. So, naisip ko, baka iniisip nyo, paano pa gusto natin ng videos? Paano pa gusto natin lagyan ng videos? So, sabi natin kanina, mahirap na kasi baka may bad internet connection, not just for the students, but also for the teachers. And putting videos into your PowerPoint presentations it makes it heavy. Heavy in a sense na babagal yung presentation nyo, magkakaroon ng lag. So, as much as possible, gusto nating iwasan yung paglagay ng videos sa slides natin. However, what you can do po, mga teachers, is to send your students the link to the video. if it's available on YouTube or other video sharing platforms, streaming platforms, pwede naman po para sila na yung mag-load on their own time kapag pwede na nilang panoorin na wala masyadong kalaban sa internet connection. So that's also good. And then, also naisip ko rin na, okay, teka ha, pakita ko sa inyo what might be helpful. Kasi nakita nyo, itong ginamit ko dito. For example, ay ang mga squares and circles, hindi ko po yan inisa-isa. Gumamit lang ako ng template. And I'm going to share with you kung saan ko siya pwedeng makita. Sa PowerPoint, you can actually go to more themes. Tas ayan, you have all the templates that you can use for free kay PowerPoint. Marami kayong mga templates and it's okay to use one template throughout the school year. Okay lang naman yon. Pwede din naman kayong gumamit ng iba, pero ang dami ditong options that you can use when you want to make your slide presentations may mga may factor, may wow factor para sa mga students, ganyan. So, pwede po kayong pumili ng mga hindi niyo kailangang to start from scratch when you're creating or building PowerPoint presentations. Okay? So, meron pa po bang ibang questions, clarifications, or hopefully no violent reactions naman po tayo, no? Okay. Sige. Salamat din po. So, I guess that ends my presentation for today. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be presenting po sa mga teachers na lumalaban yung pandemic. And I know this is a very, very difficult na trabaho talaga. So, thank you po sa inyo for doing what you do. And I hope I help give you and equip you to better create presentations for your students. Okay. Thank you po.
All right. So thank you very much, Julie, for that very engaging presentation. I really love the energy and how we engage our teachers when it comes to, creating compelling PowerPoint presentations. Thank you very much, Julie, again.
Thank you.
All right. So again, for the teachers, we do have another set of raffle, ano? So I have just uh, got the latest list. So let me share my screen again. All right. So it's taking time to load. Right. So let me know if you can see my screen now.
Yes, you can see it.
Yes. Thank you very much. Right. So again, as a reminder, pag tumama po sa ninyo, I would like to know if you are present in the call, just so I know that you're still here. If not, we're gonna draw another name for to give chance to others. Okay? Right. Okay. So ready na po tayo? Ready na?
Ready.
Yes. Okay. So ang first draw natin, actually pang fourth na ata to. So fourth draw for the day would be okay, so Marvin. So I don't know who logged the name Marvin. So are you here in the call po, Sir Marvin? I don't know if there's many Marvins in Lance.
Isa lang ako.
Isa lang, ma'am. So nandito po ba si Sir Marvin? Ano pong surname ni Sir?
Debuno.
Marvin Debuno. So present po ba si Sir?
The one with
Yon. Yeah, nasa chat siya. So, Sir Marvin Debuno. Okay. So, sir, congratulations. Thank you very much for replying. I believe nasa call ka, sir. You're just unable to use the mic. Okay? So, thank you very much, sir, and congratulations. Okay. So, next draw. Okay. Paikutin ng roleta. Right, sino kaya ang susunod? Alright. Yes, so congratulations, Ma'am Maricel Perio. So are you here in the call, ma'am? Ma'am Maricel
Sir,
Perio.
yes po.
Ayun,
Thank you po.
congratulations, ma'am. Thank you very much for attending. Right. Okay. So later on, meron pa tayong last two sets of draw after our last presenter. So to introduce you, we have Jose Arsenio Quinzon that will be talking about social media and sorry, ano yung isa? Sorry. Mutak ko na. And
Cybersecurity and
cybersecurity.
yeah.
Ayon. Thank you very much. Please take it away.
Go, Jose.
Right. Thank you po and good morning sa ating lahat. Um, Medyo nahuli lang ako ng pag-join sa ating meeting dahil may kailangan lang po akong gawing background. Pero just gusto ko lang po ipakilala yung sarili ko. So ako po si Jose. You can call me Jose for short. Um, I'm with DXC for 2 years, more than 2 years now, and ang trabaho ko po sa DXC is quality assurance. So, ayun po, I make sure na ang mga calls o mga tickets ng ating mga ehente ay nag-a-adhere sa quality ng ating kumpanya. So ngayong araw po, I will talk about social media usage and cybersecurity. Sa loob ng isang oras, pag-uusapan natin anything under social media and paano tayo magiging secure when using it online. Okay, so let me just share my screen. Saglit lang po, medyo matagal lang po mag-load. Pasensya na po sa delay. Ayun. Puwede pong pa-confirm kung nakikita niyo ang screen ko ngayon.
Yes, we can see it.
Alright, thank you, Michelle. Okay, so magi-start po ako sa topic ko tungkol sa social media and the age of information. Aware naman tayong lahat na sa panahon ngayon, very rampant na or ubiquitous na ang mga devices like cellphone, computer, ano pa ba, VR or virtual reality machines, mga robotics, lahat pong yon aware na tayo or nakikita natin sa lahat ng ginagawa natin. So, meron na mga smart TV, meron na rin sa ibang bansa, meron na rin po mga smart car na kayang magmaneho ng sarili nila while connected sa internet and hindi na kailangan ng driver. So, with this age of information, of course, kailangan din nating matutunan yung tamang paggamit na tong internet, specifically social media and then mobile devices dahil lagi natin silang ginagamit. So hindi lang siya always uh, magandang hindi lang always magandang nadudulot niya kung hindi natin siya nagagamit ng tama. Kaya dapat din tayo matuto kung paano siya gamitin ng maayos. So first, ano po ba yung social media? Social media, ito po yung mga websites or applications na ginagamit natin to create or share content or to participate in any social networking. So dito po sa slide ko, makikita nyo ang some of the examples, common examples ng social media. Like Facebook, napakalaking social network niyan, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Google, and Google+. And siguro sa iba po, alam natin ang Weibo. Weibo is the largest social network sa China. Dahil medyo sarado po yung China, meron silang sarili nilang internet and social network. Yun po ang Weibo. So siguro I assume most of us are familiar with most of these social network, malalaking brands like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Google, YouTube, marami pang iba like WhatsApp, Viber. Ayun, dahil most of us ginagamit din sila. And some kino-consider na rin po ang mga Shopee tsaka Lazada as social network dahil pwede po tayong mag communicate to others gamit ang application na to. So according to some data and studies, so at least over 50% ng mga students meron silang access sa social media and mobile devices. So as early as parang 12 or 10, although some of the applications or social media networks, nililimit nila yung usage ng platform as early as 13 years old. So dapat at least 13 ka before ka makagawa ng account. Pero yung ibang bata is nakakagawa sila ng account or meron na silang account as early as 10 or yung iba 5 years old. Mga magulang nila yung gumagawa. So 50% of students have one social media account by the time that they are 12. 80% of those have their own cell phone sa middle school pa lang. So kung makikita nyo naman dati nung may face-to-face pa, um, may mga batang nagdadala ng cellphone nila, be it as kahit 3310 o kaya mga smartphones, dala nila yan sa school. And then 70% of students hide online phone activity from their parents. So ganun po siya ka far-reaching ang social media and mobile devices ngayon sa kabataan. Of course, hindi lang naman yung mga bata ang may access sa social media, no? Dahil at least 81% of teachers or educators have social media. And most of them, sabi nila, ginagamit nila itong social media to get inspiration for new teaching ideas. Like for example, YouTube or blogs or vlogs. May mga mapupulot po tayong idea doon kung paano natin mai-integrate ang technology and new ideas sa ating teaching. Especially ngayon po na ang ating platform ay virtual or hindi na po tayo face-to-face. So mas naghahanap ngayon ang mga educators ng non-conventional ways para magturo sa mga kabataan. And then 54% of these educators or teachers connect with their colleagues or peers. And then 53% use social media to find teacher discounts and deals. Of course, lagi naman tayo naghahanap ng discounts or deals. And lagi po natin nakikita yan sa Facebook, Marketplace, and then Lazada, Shopee, ganun. So, bago po tayo magdiretso sa social media, of course, hindi natin maiiwasan na may mga bagong lengguwahe na nabubuo dahil lalo na mga kabataan or younger generation ang gumagamit nitong platform. So, kailangan nating mas maintindihan sila kung paano nila ginagamit ang social media and yung platform. So, ngayon, meron po akong nilistang ilang mga salita na natutukoy or ginagamit sa social media. So for example, I assume na you are aware of this din naman. For example, post, ginagamit po ito sa mga social platform like YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. This is anything to do na nilalagay mo sa timeline mo o nilalagay mo sa profile mo sa social media. So for example, if lagi kang gumagamit ng Facebook and madalas kang mag-update sa Facebook profile mo, what you put on your Facebook profile is what we call the post. And then after kang mag-post, meron pong ability ang mga friends mo to comment or post anything or mag-reply doon sa pinopost po natin. Another way to interact inside social media is what we call like. So, mayroong mga platforms na pwede tayong mag-leave ng thumbs up o kaya mag-leave ng heart reactions o care or kung minsan angry react. Yun po yung mga like and reaction na tumutulong sa atin pag-interact doon sa mga posts. And another one is hashtag. So, etong hashtag naman po ay commonly ginagamit sa loob ng Twitter. Ito yung ginagamit to catalog or para ma-sort yung mga posts inside the platform. So makikita natin yan normally using the number symbol. So for example, hashtag BTS o kaya hashtag kung ano man ang gusto nating gamitin. So kapag kinlik natin o ginamit natin yung hashtag na yun and then a certain keyword, lahat po ng pinopost ng mga tao tungkol dun sa certain hashtag ay makakatalog. And dun po natin makikita yung trending o yung galaw ng certain keyword sa social media. Meron pa pong ibang mga social media language na ginagamit ng mga kabataan natin ngayon. For example, mga LOL or LOL, LMAO, yan, or ROFOL. Napakarami pa po. It's too many to mention and hindi ko po malalagay lahat dito. Importante lang po na maging aware tayo dito sa mga language or jargon na ito para maintindihan natin ang kabataan and how they use social media in their day-to-day lives. So, ngayon naman po, i-present ko sa inyo some of the common social media examples. So, for example, meron tayong LinkedIn, which is normally ginagamit sa mga professional platform. So, ito kapag naghahanap ka ng trabaho o kung naghahanap ka ng mga contacts mo, mga other professionals sa field of studies mo, normally LinkedIn yung ginagamit instead of Facebook or Twitter. Ayan po. Another is Twitter. So kakasabi ko lang kanina. Twitter is another social networking channel naman na naglilimit siya ng posts or mga words na ina-update natin. Pwede tayo maglagay ng picture, ng videos, or short tweets sa Twitter. Another is Facebook. Isa sa giant ito, lalo na sa Pilipinas. So, as far as I know, there are more than 1 billion Facebook user worldwide. Tapos, lahat sila, pwede silang mag-share ng text, pictures, and videos. And under Facebook, the Facebook company, meron din pong Instagram, which is a video and photo sharing platform. Another is Workplace. Etong Workplace naman po is more like a professional platform pero under siya ng Facebook. So it looks like a Facebook pero para naman sa professional workspace. Normally mga business to business ang gumagamit nito. And then under Facebook is WhatsApp. So para siyang messenger. Tapos ayun po, it's more on SMS social media platform. So after Facebook is we also have a YouTube. So is one of the largest channels and the websites din ang YouTube aside from Facebook and Google. So dito po sa sa YouTube makikita natin ang mga videos, tutorials, normally ito mga vlogs na rin ngayon. So mga a day in a life ng mga celebrities and mga leaders natin, ganun. So medyo kung minsan may nakikita rin tayo mga prank videos, pero karaniwan mga educational, mga how-tos, ganun. I personally use YouTube more than Facebook or Twitter. Dahil dito po sa YouTube, mas marami akong natututunan sa kanila. Like mga how-tos, DIY videos, ganun. Even pagko-code o kaya kapag may gusto akong matutunang skills, nag-YouTube po ako. And then lastly is Google and Google Plus. So Google and Google Plus medyo ano na po siya, na-decommission na siya, hindi na siya halos ginagamit ngayon yung Google Plus dahil sa recent security issues. Tsaka konti lang din halos ang gumagamit sa kanila. Pero ang nag-i-exist pa ngayon is Google. Aside from the search engine na ginagamit natin sa paghahanap ng mga information online, ang Google is meron din pong social media platform or anything na pwede kang makapag-interact to other users. Bukod dito, again, marami pa pong ibang mga social media platforms na hindi natin mai-enumerate ni lahat. So, eto po, meron akong mga sample ng social media na hindi commonly ginagamit dito sa Pilipinas. Pero they are also big brands sa other countries. For example, LinkedIn, ito po. So kung makikita nyo, halos parehas lang din sila ng itsura with Facebook. Makikita mo yung profile mo, may ability ka to message this person. Ayan, tapos makikita mo rin ang work history. ni Patrick West or nung profile na binivisit mo. And meron din po siyang home, my network, jobs, and messaging. Another is Twitter. So, karaniwan pong gumagamit ng Twitter ay mga Generation Z, mga Gen Z, or mga millennials dahil mas gusto nilang mas mabilis kasi ang paggamit ng Twitter compared sa Facebook and mas madali siyang makonsume. Ayan, ganito rin po ang user interface niya. So meron siyang home, explore, ayan, notification, may ability ka rin to message that person. Another is TikTok. Unfortunately, wala po akong picture ng TikTok. Pero TikTok is a video system. So karaniwan sa mga bata ngayon, mas mga bata pa, ngayon, nagti-TikTok sila dahil mga nakakaaliw yung tunog, nakakaaliw yung mga videos na nakikita nila. Ayun. So, ito po ang benefits ng social media. So, karaniwan, normally businesses gumagamit ng social media to connect with new customers and build stronger relationships. So, mas nakakapag-increase sila ng sales and nakakapag-create sila ng stronger brand with those people that they connect to. Versus sa dating sales platform, kuwari mga TV or newspaper, which is hindi targeted. Ngayon po kasi mas madali at mas mabilis mag-reach out sa mga customers using social media. Pag-uusapan po natin later ang data privacy and ang mga disadvantages sa paggamit ng social media. So next benefit is it also allows businesses to gather insights, which provides better understanding of what people are saying about their brand and competitors. So ang social media po hindi lang pala limited to sa mga business, no? Dahil sa social media makikita din natin kung sa each post meron tayong option doon na para makita natin kung ano yung mas interesado yung mga tao. So for example, we post something about science, tapos makikita natin doon yung mga estudyante natin na mas nag interact sila doon compared sa history, ganun. Meron pong mga ganong options sa social media, depende sa platform. But nonetheless, social media allows us to gather insights and understand better yung audience natin. Another benefit of social media is how cost effective it is to share content about products with many people. Dahil nga po sa ulitin natin ang nature ng social media is connection between like-minded people. Mas madali po tayong mag-reach out or mas madali tayong mag-share ng content to those targeted audience. So for example, ang mga estudyante natin is mas interesado sila about technology or science. So kung ano man po ang pinopost natin sa social media, mas magre-reach out to merong option or merong system na algorithm po ang tawag doon, na ang specific topic ang nag-show sa timeline ng ating mga estudyante. So this can lead to better brand awareness or as business grow to their network and customer base. So ayan po ang mga benefits ng social media sa ngayon. Pag-usapan naman natin ang disadvantage ng social media, especially sa mga students natin and sa ating mga educators as we are working from home. So, karaniwan, social media is deemed as a distraction or it encourages procrastination. Actually, meron din po mga studies na nagpapakita na ang paggamit po ng mobile devices and social media can cause distraction sa mga estudyante natin, especially sa younger ones na hindi pa nila kayang kontrolin ang emotion nila and how they think. So, ang ginagawa po nila instead na mag-focus sa task or sa mga assignments, ang ginagawa nila instead is nagbi-binge watch sila sa Netflix, nagbi-binge watch sa YouTube, ng anime, kung ano man yung mga other interests na pupukaw sa kanilang attention, which will lead to hindi nila natatapos ng maayos ang modules nila, hindi nila napapasa ng mas maaga compared sa dapat, o kaya hindi nila totally nagagawa or I don't know, baka nagkokopyahan na lang sila para lang makapagpasa ng modules. Another disadvantage of social media is cyberbullying and harassment. So over the past recent years, meron pong another study na nagsasabing mas tumataas daw po ang cyberbullying and online harassment sa mga bata. Dahil na rin po ito sa paggamit nila ng social media and mobile devices. Of course, lalo na ngayong pandemic, hindi na nagkikita-kita ang mga bata, walang chance na mag-interact face to face. So kapag may gusto kang sabihin, mas madali na siyang sabihin online. And karaniwan, ang mga nasasabi natin online are those strong opinions and hindi na natin napag-iisipan ng mabuti, which may lead to cyberbullying and online harassment. Of course, dahil doon, nagkakaroon po ng health concerns and psychological effects to students. So let's go with the health concern first. Kuminsan, yung posture. So karaniwan sa mga bata dahil sobrang tagal na sa computer, medyo yung likod po nila hindi na nag-i-straight o hindi na ganun kaganda yung upo nila dahil mas natututok sila sa mababang monitor. Another is yung mata po nila dahil mas nakatutok sila ng longer periods of time sa screen, lumalabo po. Mas mataas ang chance na lumabo ang mata. Although, ang mga bagong devices naman ngayon are merong system or merong features na pahinaan yung blue light at hindi siya sumakit sa mata. Pero still, may mga batang mas tumatagal siya. Longer exposure to screen may lead to eye damages. Another is dahil yung katawan po ng tao, hindi naman talaga siya built or hindi siya nag-evolve para sa pag-upo lang buong araw. So yung weight na rin po dahil karaniwan sa mga bata or sa mga gumagamit ng computer or mobile phones, masarap kasing manood, mag-binge watch habang kumakain o umiinom. So, ang ginagawa nila, nakahiga na lang, nakaupo na lang habang kumakain. So, mas less na po ang physical activity. And then another is psychological effects. So napag-usapan po natin kanina ang cyberbullying and harassment which may lead to online depression or may mga bata rin po may mga reports or studies na nagsasabing mas tumaas yung comparison or pag-compare ng mga younger generation to other dahil yung nakikita nila sa social media ay kung anong magaganda doon sa mga friends nila or sa mga followers nila. Especially sa mga celebrities po na karaniwan na nasa bakasyon o kaya may mga bagong phone, may mga bagong gamit, may mga bagong pagkain na laging in or laging nasa uso. Tapos pag nakita po yun ng mga bata, maiinggit sila and which may lead to pagko-compare nila na bakit ako ganto, bakit siya ganyan. Or sometimes naman, honestly, sa mga millennials, so pag nakita naman ng, kuwari, ikaw, kaibigan mo or classmate mo dati, nakita mo siyang professional na or ikaw, ganun pa rin, 9 to 5 work pa rin, medyo nahihirapan sa buhay, ganun. Hindi po natin maiiwasan yung inggit and comparison that leads to psychological disadvantages to social media. Another is fake news and false information. Dahil na nga po nasabi natin na pag nasa social media ka or nasa online ka, napakadali lang mag-post ng kahit anong gusto mo, pwede mo siyang ilagay sa social media. So, nababawasan po ang accountability and credibility ng mga post. So, that leads us to dapat mas mag-perform tayo ng fact verification or kailangan natin muna i-check ang mga sources ng every post or every information na nakikita natin sa social media. Dahil hindi po lahat na nakikita natin dyan ay totoo, especially recent years na marami pong fake news and false information na lumalabas, especially Facebook. So, in fact, meron din pong lawsuit na nangyari sa Facebook dahil doon sa paggamit ng fake news and false information. And dahil din po doon, gumawa ng certain adjustments ang Facebook regarding news and information verification sa kanilang platform. And lastly, another disadvantage ng social media, and unfortunately, meron po tayong pornography, meron din pong child prostitution, meron din pong data breach and digital security issues na mas pag-uusapan natin later sa next topic natin. So, aware naman po tayo na kapag sa internet, dahil nga masyado siyang open, walang means to hold back or to gatekeep, yun yung mas tamang term, how to gatekeep the information. So kahit ano na lang po pwedeng i-post sa social media and online. Which brings me to our next topic, social media use. So nakita na po natin ang pros and cons ng social media. Of course, social media itself is not bad. It's how we use it na nagiging bad or good. It's just a tool for us to use. So paano ba natin gagamitin dapat ang social media? So first, advisable po sana na meron tayong separate accounts. So for professional and another is for our personal social media account. Although medyo matrabaho, medyo hassle, I know, pero yun po sana talaga ang advisable. Uh, Kailangan nating i-separate ang personal account natin sa professional profile natin sa social media and limit those people na merong access sa ating personal profile and doon sa ating professional profile. So, ayun, advisable yon. Another is maintain professional branding in social media. So, of course, kung hindi natin maiiwasan na, let's say, meron lang tayo talagang isang social media account, let's say Facebook lang talaga, as much as possible, it's advisable na maging professional tayo sa pag-post sa Facebook or whatever social media we use. There's a lot of news and events na nawawalan po ng trabaho dahil nag-post ng malisyoso o kaya false information or strong opinion on social media. Kahit hindi na nga po post, it's more on parang nag-comment ka lang, let's say politics, medyo mainit, naintindihan natin yan. Tapos nag-reply ka sa certain topic sa politics, tapos may nag-report sa'yo, naging keyboard warrior ka dyan, nag-report sa'yo sa opisina mo o kaya sa manager mo, may mga nangyayari pong gano'n na nawawalan sila ng trabaho o kung hindi man, nare-reprimand dahil lang sa simple post in social media. So, let us be careful kung anong nilalagay natin or pinopost natin sa social media. If we are not sure kung tama ba ang pinopost natin or ginagawa natin, let's always check and follow district policy. As far as I know, alam ko po meron sa DepEd na guidelines kung paano makitungo as a netizen sa social media. So let's verify that. I think that's district to district policy. So possible na iba yung sa district nyo, another is iba pa. Pero most likely it's one guideline from DepEd. Another is again post, like, and comment on social media professionally. Let's always think na social media is a public platform. Kahit na gawin mong private yung account mo dyan, kahit na i-lock mo pa yung profile mo, whatever you do inside social media will always have a footprint na makikita ng iba and your circle. So, mga estudyante mo yan or parents or colleagues, makikita nila yan one way or another. So let's always be mindful of what we post, what we react, or what we comment on any social media platform. Next one is follow respectable colleagues or figures. So, well, we highly discourage following yung mga purveyor ng fake news, purveyor ng false information, o kaya yung mga nag-share ng mga malicious contents. So, as far as we can or mag-follow po tayo doon sa mga public figures or sa mga leaders or those na mga taong reliable sources of information. Another is verify information before posting or commenting. Dahil na nga nasabi natin kanina, napakaraming fake news and false information sa social media. So always think before you post or think before you click. And lastly, of course, don't post during school hours. Kung di man school hours, don't post during work hours. Dahil syempre, we are expected to be professional, we are expected to work during that time period, and we are not expected to be on social media. Another is we should build and join communities. Ito naman po yung mga dapat nating gawin sa social media. So by building and joining communities, nasabi natin kanina na ang social media is a gathering of like-minded people. So if you're interested with plants, if you're interested with technology, napakadali lang pong maghanap ng groups or communities sa social media na may mapagpupulutan ka ng aral or more information. So you should build and join those communities. Maging positive po tayo, always be proactive. And then next is search for relevant and reliable sources online. So ano po ba yung mga reliable and relevant sources? Ito po yung mga government agencies natin. Ito po yung mga news agencies, especially mga verified news agencies like international media, yung mga ganun po, na meron silang system for fact-checking and source verification. And lastly, encourage students to join communities, create, and collaborate. So as social media being a social platform, encourage din natin yung mga bata ay mga estudyante natin na mag-join sa mga communities, mga groups, and to create. Dahil nandyan po ang social media not just to consume, hindi lang maging para maging audience tayo, but also to create and collaborate with everyone. Uh, Next is this is how you protect yourself from social media. So first is do stay in touch with your colleagues, stay in touch with your students. So dahil nga po napakadali na ng social media kung anong updates ng mga students natin diyan, napakadali na lang nating makita. So stay in touch with them, but you don't need to follow everyone. So let's say meron sa nag-friend request, hindi mo naman kilala, you don't personally know them, you don't need to accept them. You can just delete that friend request. Or kung meron man nag-friend request sa'yo, kahit colleague mo man yan or parent ng student mo, pero hindi mo naman siya ganun ka-close, you can just reject them. Kasi meron na din naman tayong option to post publicly. Pwede nating i-limit yung post natin or not. Yan. You can also show what you are proud of. Katulad na nasabi natin kanina, kung mahilig ka sa plants, kung mahilig ka sa technology, you can always post that on social media. But again, be mindful na maging professional po tayo sa pagpo-post natin. Another is don't share personal pictures. Pag-usapan na rin po natin ang privacy natin dahil normally pag nasa personal pictures po, kahit selfie man yan, especially kung umalis ka ng bahay, walang tao sa bahay mo, tapos may nagfa-follow sa'yo na masama pala yung intention, tapos nag-post ka na nasa beach ka or nasa malayo ka sa bahay mo. So hindi po natin masabi, possible na pwede niyang sugurin bahay mo and pag nakawang ka, there are some instances na ganun ang nangyayari. Sometimes naman, picture ng ID, alam natin, possible na kakagraduate lang po natin, meron tayong certificate or achievement, ganun, and pinost po natin ang ID or certificate or kahit ano man po diyang accomplishment, pwede po siyang kunin ng other people na merong uh, bad intention. So, for example, ID, pwede siyang i-screenshot, pwede siyang i-download, and gamitin sa other transactions. And magpapanggap sila na ikaw dahil nandun sa ID mo ang information mo. Another is don't tag other teachers or students sa pictures or posts man yan. Naiintindihan ko po na gusto nating mag-socialize sa social media, of course, pero kailangan din nating i-consider yung security ng other people, especially kung students and minor pa lang yung mga students natin. Dahil normally, kapag nagpo-post po tayo, wala yung um, without the knowledge of the other person. I don't know, baka ma-offend siya doon sa itsura niya sa picture o kaya ma-offend siya doon sa post mismo dahil hindi siya aware na pinost mo yung picture niya and hindi siya prepared. So as much as possible, avoid tagging or sharing those pictures lalo na kung hindi lang ikaw yung nandoon unless pumayag talaga yung tao sa post mo before you do it. So another is how we protect our students' privacy online. So first, it's advisable na ang mga student din natin ay meron ding sariling profile for academic and business purposes or personal purposes. So hindi lang po tayo, no, pati ang mga estudyante. Lalo na isipin natin kung mga bata pa yan sila, minor, hindi pa nila kayang mag-decide for their own. So as much as possible, we advise na gumawa sila ng separate profile for that. And then, don't contact students directly. Huwag po tayo mag-PM sa kanila. Instead, pwede nating uh, idaan sa parents nila using our professional account. So, idaan natin sa parents nila o kaya idaan natin sa group chat, idaan natin sa email, pero wag po personally. First is, kung minsan may anxiety pag nakaka-receive ka ng email or may nakaka-receive ka ng message coming from someone na may authority sa'yo, parang nai-stress ka, bakit ako kinontak ni ma'am, bakit anong problema, gano'n. So it's better na dumaan po tayo doon sa guardian o kaya dumaan tayo sa proper channel para mag-communicate doon sa bata. Next is do not give your students your personal number. Uh, Pwede naman katulad kanina, pwede naman meron kang professional number and then your personal number. Again, the key here is kailangan nating i-separate ang personal life natin sa work life. So it boils down to work and life, personal life balance. Dahil kung minsan hating gabi pwede silang kumontak sa'yo dahil alam nila yung phone number mo. Yung mga ganun. Nagpapahinga ka na, gusto mo ng time for yourself, pero contact sila sa'yo gamit yung personal account mo or personal number mo. Another is do not post pictures of your student na sabi na natin kanina dahil nga uh, possible na bata pa sila or they don't consent to those posts. And lastly, encourage students to make the most of their social media. Ito yung sinabi natin kanina na create, collaborate, and use social media for good, hindi yung magbubuli or magiging keyboard warrior. Next would be interacting with parents and colleagues. So paano ba tayo mag-interact with parents and colleagues? We understand na kung minsan close natin yung colleagues natin or may close tayong parents and we want to connect with them. Again, it's advisable to use your professional profile instead your own personal one. Dahil we are public figures, we are educators, and whatever we post online, nakikita yan ng mga parents, nakikita yan ng mga bata, and meron niyang impact sa kanila. So, let's say, napaka-interesado ka sa kay Tulfo or meron kang strong opinion about certain topic and pinost mo yan online, mahirap na dahil pwede kang i-judge ng mga audience mo dahil lang dun sa post na yon. And worse, baka maging threat din yon sa work mo. So it's best if we can maintain a professional profile versus our own professional one. All right. And lastly, it's how we teach our students to use social media safety, privacy, security, and digital literacy. Of course, hindi lang naman tayo dapat yung may alam. Dapat alam din ng mga bata kung paano gamitin ng tama ang social media. So we need to teach them how to be a digital citizen. So we need to teach them how to think before they post and be kind and respectful online. Another is teach children about proper usage of social media and how they can express themselves, especially YouTube. So kung may gusto silang hobby, kung may ginagawa silang hobby, encourage natin sila na gumawa ng YouTube channel and post it online to collaborate with everyone. At least para ma-build nila yung self-confidence and ma-build nila yung skills na gusto nilang hobby. Next is teach children about online security. Turuan natin sila yung tungkol sa data privacy, kung paano umiwas sa mga um, catfish, tawag doon is catfish, yung mga nagpapanggap na mga tao na hindi naman sila, for example, mga ganon, which we will tackle later on the second half of my presentation. Second to the last would be use security applications. Ito yung mga VPN, ito yung mga softwares na magsisecure ng ating mobile devices, ng ating laptops, and other online platforms. We will tackle that later as well on the second half of my presentation. And lastly, teach children the importance of critical thinking and how to evaluate sources. Ito yung mga bata kasi talaga yung mga vulnerable lagi sa false information and fake news dahil hindi nila alam kung ano yung totoo sa hindi. Most of what they read online, pinapaniwalaan lang nila and pinopost lang nila, which is dapat hindi. So as educators and as adults, it's our part and it's our job to teach them how to think critical, especially online, and how to evaluate their sources before posting. All right. So that's it for my social media and usage. Ma'am, sir, do you have any questions and answers? I'm sorry, questions for me before we proceed? Ayan, you can just unmute o kaya raise your hands na lang para ma-acknowledge po kayo.
Sige na po. Okay po. And then, I
Ayan, hello po. Ayun, well, looks like wala naman pong gustong magtanong or wala na naiintindihan. I hope po naiintindihan natin and very straightforward naman tong social media usage. So without further ado, I would proceed now sa next part ng akin session. Let me just share my next slide. Ayan, please confirm naman po kung nakikita niyo yung screen ko.
Yes, I can see.
Alright, thank you. So, kanina po pinag-usapan natin ang social media usage. Ngayon naman po pag-uusapan natin ang cybersecurity or paano tayo magiging safe online. Alright. So, ano ba muna ang internet? Basically, internet is interconnection ng mga computer network or mobile devices across the globe. So, ito yung how computers communicate with each other, and the World Wide Web naman, ito yung online na ginagamit natin. And then dito yung mga domain, nandito yung mga website. Ganun lang po siya kasimple. So, kung minsan na nako-confuse tayo between internet and World Wide Web, but the internet itself is the system kung paano po nagko-communicate ang mga computers and mobile devices. Ito yung interconnectivity system. Pero yung World Wide Web, ito naman po yung yung means kung paano natin na-access yung data. So that's how with websites or URLs or hyperlinks. Ayan. Next is our cybersecurity. So of course, hindi lang lahat naman na nasa online or nasa internet ay maganda yung pakay, no? So may mga taong masasama yung balak, like mga hackers, mga cyber terrorists, mga ganan. At dahil doon, na-create naman ang cybersecurity. So cybersecurity is the practice of defending computers, servers, mobile devices, electronic systems and networks, and data from malicious attacks. It's also known as information technology security or electronic information security. So there are certain types of cybersecurity. No? So one is network security. Ito yung pag-maintain natin ng seguridad ng ating network. Let's say sa loob ng DepEd or sa loob ng school natin. So meron tayong mga computer networks dyan na possible ma-hack or mapasok ng mga taong hindi naman dapat nila ma-access yung data na yan. So network security is about the network itself sa ating organisasyon. While application security naman, ito yung seguridad para sa mga applications. Let's say Facebook, Twitter, Lazada, Shopee. So GCash, yan mga ganyan. Especially doon sa mga gumagamit ng personal information ng user o kaya monetary or financial information. So kung meron kayong mobile banking app, gumagamit yan ng application security o kaya yung GCash, yan gumagamit din yan ng application security. Next one is information security. So, ito naman ay tungkol sa information na ini-store natin. So, for example, sa computer natin, no, sa laptop natin, meron tayo diyang sinisave ng mga files. So, pwede nating i-encrypt yan, pwede nating i-zip o kaya isarado yung file, lagyan ng password para hindi siya mabuksan ng mga taong hindi naman dapat tumitingin sa file na yon. That would be our information security. Next is operational security. Ito naman yung mga processes and decisions for handling and protecting data assets. Ito yung mga operational security for computers. Let's say, nagbigay si DepEd ng mga computer sa atin o kaya nagbigay ang isang NGO ng mga devices sa atin. So, meron yung operational security. Next is disaster recovery and business continuity. Most of these are mga tumutukoy sa business and organizations. Okay, so itong mga cybersecurity na to are for organizations. So disaster recovery and business continuity naman, ito yung kapag ang isang malaking organisasyon ay na-hack or let's say merong operations or data breach. Ayun, ito yung sinusunod nilang mode of operation para malagpasan yung ganoong attack. And lastly, dito po tayo magfo-focus sa end user education. So kanina, lahat ng mga sinabi ko kanina are for infrastructure, for organizations. May mga companies na nagpo-focus for those kind of infrastructure. So mas mataas yung security level nun. Pero ang mga hacker and mga may ill intentions or may mga maling intentions ngayon, mas nagpo-focus sila sa mga tao. Like you, me, tayo, yan, vulnerable or mas susceptible sa attack. So, ito tayo magpo-focus sa end user education. End user education is the most unpredictable cybersecurity factor, which is the people, because anyone can accidentally introduce a virus to an otherwise secure system by failing to follow good security practices. So, teaching users to delete suspicious email attachments, not plug in unidentified USB drives, and various other important lessons is vital for security of any organization. So, lahat ng mga cybersecurity systems na nabanggit natin kanina, lahat yon walang kwenta kapag ang tao mismo, kapag tayo, empleyado or mga member ng organization, ang naging biktima ng cybersecurity attack. So, ang pinaka-important part nitong cybersecurity, of course, ang mga tao dahil tayo yung mga pinaka-vulnerable. Which brings me to this. So, makikita nyo naman, um, normally, ina-attack ng mga cyber criminals or hackers mga businesses. Ayan, small businesses. Isang Google search mo lang, lalabas yung mga recent cyber attack news. So that's 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, 4 days ago, merong nagsabi businesses remain hot targets for phishing and ransomware scams. So ganon. Another is countries. So kahit na bansa man yan, kahit gaano kalaking bansa yan, susceptible pa rin yan sa cyber attack. Kahit US, kahit China, kahit India, kung makikita nyo, India sa pangatlong search result natin, India is amongst the worst hit by DNS cyber attacks in Asia. So lahat vulnerable, lahat ng cyber security systems magfe-fail kapag ang mga tao mismo ang maging biktima ng cyber attack. So there are certain types of cyber threats. First is cybercrime. Ito ay nag-iisang actor lang o nag-iisang tao lang na gumagawa or pwede rin grupo naman sila na gumagawa ng attack to gain financial or to cause business disruption. So kung maririnig nyo ko minsan sa news, merong mga anonymous groups. Ang tawag sa kanila talaga is anonymous. So Anonymous Philippines, Anonymous USA, there are other cyber groups na nagko-conduct ng mga cyber attacks. So ayun. And normally bakit ba nila ginagawa to? So kapag nakuha nila ang information na gusto nila, pwede nilang ibenta 'yon sa dark web, or dark web is another side of internet na medyo mas malalim. So doon sa dark web na 'yon or sa deep web, doon nila binebenta yung mga information na yon, like credit card information, bank accounts, passwords, usernames, ganon. And ayun, binebenta nila sa highest bidder to gain Bitcoin or to gain monetary gains. Next one is cyber attack. Ito naman often involves politically motivated information gathering. Normally itong cyber attack, ginagawa ito ng mga state actor. Pag sinabi mong state actor, this is a state sponsored, mga sponsor ng mga countries. So gusto nilang mag-espiya sa kalaban nilang country. Hindi naman sa pag-name drop, pero recently mga Chinese ganon, meron silang mga state actors na umaatake sa mga companies o kaya sa other countries para makakuha ng vital information tungkol sa organisasyon na yon. Tapos ayun, gagamitin ng military or ng state ang information na makukuha nila to gain military advantage o kaya to gain whatever advantages they have to that victim. And lastly, cyberterrorism is intended to undermine electronic systems to cause panic or fear. Ito naman, a-attack ka sa isang organisasyon para lang ma-disrupt yung system nila para hindi sila makapag-operate ng maayos. Recently, if you're aware with the national ID system, na nag-take effect na sometime, I think previous months, and then just recently this June, nagbukas sila ng website nila dahil sa sobrang daming taong nag-register or ma-access ng website na yon na hindi nila ine-expect nag-down yung website ng National ID System. So most of the time, ganun din yung ginagawang actions nitong mga cyber terrorists. So may gusto silang website na i-down, ina-attack nila or binibigyan nila ng mataas na traffic tong website na to until such time na mag-down, and then bababa na yung cyber security, and then pwede na nilang mapasok. Right. And then eto naman, papasok tayo, yung sinabi ko pala sa inyong methods kanina, yung pagbibigay ng maraming traffic sa isang website, that's called denial of service attack. Ito yung first one. So bibigyan mo siya ng mataas na traffic until such time na magda-down siya. Another method to threaten cybersecurity is man-in-the-middle attack. Ito naman ang ginagawa ng mga hacker na nag-aantay between peer-to-peer communication. So for example, ako, isa akong unaware na victim and nagtatransact ako online sa aking bank account sa BPI. Hindi ko alam na meron palang hacker na nakikinig or tumitingin doon sa system ko. So habang nagtatransact ako, nakikita niya yung password ko, nakikita niya yung user ID ko, nakikita niya yung laman ng bank account ko. And then during that moment na nagtatransmit ako ng information sa bangko ko, kinukuha niya na pala lahat ng information. And then whatever he wants, pwede niyang gamitin yun or pwede niyang ibenta sa online or sa darknet. O kaya pwede niya rin gamitin to perform online transactions na hindi ko alam. Ganon. Next one is malware. Malware naman, ito yung mga viruses o kaya mga spyware na nilalagay ng mga hacker sa ating mga cellphone, sa ating mga computer, sa ating mga laptops. So kung makikita nyo, kung gumagamit po kayo ngayon ng laptop o kaya ng computer, makikita nyo meron diyaang firewall. Ang firewall po ang isang application na ang main purpose niya is to defend your system against viruses or malware. So chine-check niya yan isa-isa yung mga files nyo kung medyo meron diyang virus o kaya meron diyang bug o kaya meron diyang nilagay na tracking mechanism sa computer nyo. Yun po yung malware. Next common method for cybersecurity is social engineering. Another is phishing. So ang mas magfo-focus po ako ngayon sa social engineering and phishing. Ano po ba ang social engineering? So social engineering is the art of manipulating people so they give confidential information. So may kausap ka lang dyan. Pwede nating sabihin na nabudol ka o kaya na hypnotize ka para lang mabigay mo yung information na kailangan nila. So basically that's social engineering. So the types of information these criminals are seeking can vary, but when individuals are targeted, the criminals are usually trying to trick you into giving them your password, bank information, or access your computer to secretly install malicious software. So there are phases of social engineering. First one is investing. Ito muna yung kukunin niya yung loob mo. Kukunin niya yung tiwala mo bago siya mag-attack. Next one is hooking. So kapag nakuha niya na yung tiwala mo, of course, they will engage you para hindi ka na makawala doon sa fish, doon sa bait nila. Lastly, second to the last is attacking. Ito yung actual na pag-deploy ng attack or paglagay ng virus sa computer mo. Or ito yung actual na pagkuha ng information na kailangan nila. And lastly, exiting. Ito yung pagtakas nila doon sa ginawa nilang social attack or cyber attack. So there are types of social engineering. First is piggybacking, normally sa mga sa mga businesses to na may electromagnetic doors, yung kailangan mo mag-punch muna sa pintuan bago bumukas yung pintuan. So piggybacking or tailgating is sasabay ka lang sa kulig mo, hindi ka magpa-punch, hindi alam ng system na nakapasok ka sa pintuan. Next is baiting attack. Ito naman is yung enticing end user, bibigyan ka ng bait or bibigyan ka ng pain na kapag nag-agree ka naman dun sa pain na yon, maglalagay sila ng malicious files doon sa computer mo. Next is quid pro quo. I'm sorry, medyo mabilis na po ako ngayon dahil paubos na yung oras natin. Pero next is quid pro quo is requesting to exchange critical data or login credentials in exchange for a service. Katulad din po to ng baiting attacks. So, kuwari sasabihin lang nila na sabihin mo sa akin yung username mo or password mo, bibigyan kita ng 1,000. Mga ganon. Next one is phishing attacks. So phishing naman normally is from email. So kung gumagamit po kayo ng DepEd email o kaya ng Gmail nyo, kung minsan nakaka-receive kayo ng emails from unknown sources, hindi nyo kilala, biglang may nag-send lang sa inyo ng email, be very cautious about that email. Which brings me to this, how to identify phishing emails. So this is an example of a phishing email. Makikita natin galing kay Jessie. Tapos ang to niya papunta kay undisclosed recipients. So napakarami siyang sinendan. So kung hindi mo kilala si Jessie, dapat magduda ka na. Bakit kanya sinenda ng invoice? Hindi ka naman nagtatrabaho for invoice. Hindi mo naman kilala tong Jessie na to, pero nag-send siya sa'yo ng attachment. So be very cautious about that. Another type of phishing emails is suspicious link. So for example, sa DepEd email po natin, naka-receive tayo ng notification coming from our bank, let's say BPI or BDO, o kaya sa subscription natin na Netflix, ganon. And sabi nila, you need to validate your account, may kailangan kang i-click. It will show you another website. Be very cautious about that. Dahil normally, kapag kinlik mo po yan, hihingin po ang inyong user information, and then after, kapag nabigay niyo yung user information nyo, wala na. Pwede na silang maglagay ng um, mga viruses sa computer nyo, and naging victim na po pala tayo ng phishing and ng social engineering. So normally makikita natin sa mga phishing ay urgent. So sinasabi niyang kailangan mo na 'tong gawin agad-agad, kung hindi mo gagawin, mauubos oras mo o kaya hindi mo na ma-access yung account mo. So yun yung mga red flags na kailangan nating iwasan. So for this one example, sinasabi niya, "Hi Michael, please find enclosed vendor banking instructions for a payment that was supposed to go out in the previous week. I need you to process it immediately." So I am a bit busy now, but will give you a call within the hour regarding the payment. So dito sa example natin, possible na nagpapanggap yung hacker na manager or someone na merong authority kay Michael. And ikaw naman, kung ikaw si Michael, kakabahan ka na. Bakit na nag-message si manager mo about sa ganito? Which magiging prone ka, magiging victim ka sa social engineering. So paano po natin mape-prevent ang cyber threats? First is use up-to-date software and operating systems, especially sa mga laptop po natin. So kung meron po tayong Windows Defender, isa po yung application, always update that, o kaya McAfee. Kung minsan po kasi mga firewall are paid subscriptions, pero sa Windows naman merong mga libre. So always update those softwares and operating systems para hindi po tayo maging victim ng malware or phishing activities. Another is connect only to secure networks or use VPN and public places. Ano ba yung VPN? VPN is parang additional protection sa Wi-Fi natin or additional protection sa machine natin kapag connected tayo sa mga networks na hindi natin kilala. So nasa coffee shop tayo, kailangan natin ng internet, connect muna sa VPN. Dahil normally kapag nasa public places tayo, kung sino din yung nakakonect doon sa system na yon is nakikita yung activity natin. So be very careful with that. Another is use strong passwords, and dapat lagi nating pinapalitan yung password natin. Advisable at least every 3 months, or at least kung kaya nyo monthly, mag-change po tayo ng password, and gumamit po tayo ng mga applications like Google na kung saan pwede tayo mag-save ng password. We understand mahirap magkabisado ng passwords. Meron po tayong mga applications, secure applications na pwede nating pag-savean ng mga passwords natin. Kung hindi talaga kaya, kung wala tayong tiwala sa mga ganong applications, isulat po natin yung passwords natin para hindi natin malimutan. Next is do not open email or click links from unknown senders and sources. So kapag, let's say, hindi nyo kilala yung sender, be very cautious na agad. Huwag mo nang bubuksan kung ano man yung link o kaya kung ano man yung sinend niyang email sa atin. So report it to your admin, report it as spam, block, and delete the sender para hindi ka niya ulit makontak. And then lastly, inform and educate ourselves with cybersecurity practices. Kasi tayo yung weakest link sa cyber threats, sa cyber security, and we should always protect ourselves. All right, and that's it for me. We still have a couple of minutes. Baka po may gusto po kayong itanong or may gusto pa po kayong malaman tungkol sa cyber security and our social media usage. The floor is now open for questions. Ayun po. I hope po nakatulong ako sa inyo, and I would just like to take this opportunity to thank everyone for joining. Alam ko busy po kayo mga ma'am and sir as educator, pero nagawa nyo pa pong umattend sa klase namin ngayon, and I hope na nakatulong po kami in one way or another to provide you more information about these topics na makakatulong po sa inyo. So kung wala na po kayong questions or kung wala na po kayong gustong itanong sa akin, I'll hand over this to Michelle and our MC for additional information. Thank you
All
po. Thank
right.
you everyone.
So thank you very much, Jose, for that very informative and very meaty presentation regarding social media and cybersecurity. Okay. So, kumusta po kayo, mga ma'am and sir? Very I do apologize na medyo tuloy-tuloy yung ano natin, and we really don't have time for breaks. And advice ko lang po for tomorrow, it will be the same, but pro tip lang, you can do bio breaks or short breaks even we are continuing the session para at your own convenience lang po. Okay. So may 1 minute pa tayo, and we still have the last two draws for a raffle. Okay, so na-update ko na tong roleta natin. Okay, so I hope everyone was able to sign out the attendance para dito. Okay, so let me just share my screen again. Right, so okay, so let's start. Okay, our first, second to the last winner for 500 peso worth of GC is... Okay, so Sir Mark Perido. Okay, hello Sir Mark, are you there? Ay, mukhang wala si Sir Mark ah. Hello Sir Mark.
Hello, Sir Mark. Next na ba 'to? Iyan.
Hindi, let's see if ano, you can also respond Sir Mark in ano in the chat box just in case you are unable to reply verbally. Okay, so going once, going
Hello po.
twice. Ayun, si Sir.
Ayun.
Eh, nasa masalita ko.
Hello. Ayun. So sir, congratulations po for winner for winning our 500 peso GC. Okay, so na-take note na to, Mitch.
Thank you po.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you din, sir. Okay, so our last draw for the day. Okay, paikutin ko na. Okay. All right. So, right. So our last winner for today is Sir Gregorio Sagon Jr. Right? So nandito ba si Sir Sagon? Let me know through speaking out or through the chats if you're here, Sir Sagon. Andyan. Si Ma'am Lopez to eh. So, nandiyan ba si Sir?
Lagot ka, Sir Sagun.
Going once. Going twice. Okay. So, I assume wala si Sir personally. Totoo ba?
Wala daw siyang mic, tsaka cam.
Okay.
Kahit na lang kaya.
Type ma'am. Chat. Wala rin si Sir.
Buksan ang camera.
Okay. So I think sige, we can take it from Ma'am Ellen as a testimony na nandito si Sir Sagun. Okay, kasi tsaka we do understand that there's some difficulties with mic and cameras. Okay. Sige po. Congratulations Sir Sagun for winning our last raffle for today. So thank you very I know we're 3 minutes over time and we're cutting in your lunch, but thank you very much for all of those who attended. Thank you very much po mga ma'am and sir. And we hope to also see you again tomorrow for the part 2 of our session and more raffles and surprises. So tomorrow may mga learning checks din po tayo and kung sino man nanalo dun sa learning check natin will also be rewarded. Yeah. So thank you very much po ulit and have a good day ahead. Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you.
teacher. See
Have
you
a
again.
nice lunch. Bye-bye po.
Thank you very much, Sir Adrian, and to the team.
Thank
Thank
you,
you po,
everyone.
Ma'am
Bye
Aure.
po.
Thank you po.
Hello. Chris, may evaluation link na sa nakapag-evaluation ka na.
Manghihingi po ako. Wait. Kasi ma'am, kinat na yung Zoom natin.
Oo nga, inano na.